Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 32. This will not even need much introduction. We've got another guest on today. It's a channel favourite, I think, one of our most listened to and watched episodes. So we said at the time when she was on the first time we were going to get her on for a part 2, because I don't think we did a research justice, did we, Sam?
No, last time when we spoke to this person, we went through the backstory, how they got to where they got to, and then we got to research, and it had been like 2.5 hours, so we did like 20 minutes on research. Yeah. And that was it.
And then we could see the people knocking on the door, so we're like, yeah, we need to leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, so welcome back again for a part 2, Dr Áine Mac Dermott.
What's happening, Áine?
Thank you for coming back on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
No, because we said that we on the last one, because we had to cut it off. We were like, we'll definitely have you back on. And you said you had like some big papers coming out as well.
Yeah, I was sitting on some research for a while, and all the publications seemed to come out in the last 12 months. So it makes it look like I've done a lot, but really it was like redrafts and resubmissions of stuff.
But even when we spoke, like, we didn't, like, there was topics which you had done that we didn't even get to because we didn't have time. We've got them on our list.
So, but yes, how have you been anyway?
Yeah, I've been good. Just chipping away. It's direct to study week. Whoop whoop, no teaching. But, you know, it's semester 1 of 2 and we're just...
Haven't got to have any contact with the little rats.
Little rats. Yes, John Moores appreciate this terminology. Come, spend £9,000 a year, you rats.
You practically scum.
You goddamn filthy animals.
Have you seen Ricky Gervais do that?
No.
Oh, he does a stand-up and he goes, I'm really rich. I don't really have to be here with you people. Practically scum.
I think he said that like, I've got lots of money. I mean, I'll not say how much, but I mean, clearly by that statement, I have a lot of money. Yeah. All right.
So yes, so how long have you been a lecturer at John Moores again then?
Since 2017.
Do you teach at all ages or levels?
Teaching, yeah. So I teach, first, second, third year, and masters. So
what's the worst year to teach?
That is a shout.
It depends. The masters ones are like more of a mixed bag. So you'll have people come back and they're doing like a master's in cybersecurity, or it's like information systems and something. And they think they know everything because they've been in industry.
Because they're a master.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm here studying a master's. And then you've got other people who are doing a master's in a computing-based subject and have no experience at all. Like, I had someone, I'll not say when, but I had this student and they genuinely asked me, how did they get, they were pointing at the screen and they went, I want to get this stuff from here out. How do I do that? And I was like, do you mean to print? Or do you mean like...
What's that even mean?
What do you mean? Like, do you want it in the cloud? What? And she's like, well, it's here, but I want it out.
It's on the screen.
And then she's like, I want it on my phone. I was like, well...
Fucking email it to yourself.
I showed how to use OneDrive. I showed how to like email it to themselves. I showed them how to print it. And I was like, right.
I don't think OneDrive's computing, is it? It's just basic knowledge.
It's no, but like we say that with the person older or younger.
Middle of the road, but...
Because I'll speak to my mum, and she won't do online banking.
But like why would you be doing a master's in like a computing-based subject if you...
That does confuse me.
Every year we get mixed feedback and they say, well, generally it's good feedback, but you'll get someone saying, I wish it was more practical. And I'm like, well, some of you don't know how to use a fucking computer at the start. Or because it's network security is what I teach. So like we had lots of programming-based stuff and then people would be like, well, I don't like programming. So you kind of ease them in. They do some researchy stuff, some questions, and then we've got Arduinos. So we build basically like a little alert system or like an IDS with Arduinos. It's really cool. But you got to build them up to that. Yeah. And then you'll still have people going, I wish it was more practical. And then you'll have other ones going, I didn't know how to do that thing. And you're like, but you just can't win.
I found that in our masters though, even like, because on our course, a couple of the modules or whatever they're called, what they call topics, modules. Modules. Yeah. They were from other courses, remember?
Yeah.
And like they were clueless on the topic.
Yeah. So
and like you wondered why they picked it.
They'd come from, if it was like sensors and data management, so they were more applied, but they had to understand the maths, so they'd come into our maths course without the prerequisite knowledge really to probably understand it at the same level.
They didn't have to. They chose to try and understand it.
Well, no, this is what I'm trying to say, but like to the same level as what like we knew it as. So it became a bit of a... Because obviously we come from a maths background. That's not me just saying, we're better.
I mean, we are, but I remember... no.
I saw your maths degrees. They're very thorough, so... Yeah.
I remember actually, funny story from that Masters before we get back onto Áine. We were like towards the end of exam season once. You're like this, Áine, and I was sitting next to this guy we don't normally sit next to because when I got there late to the lecture, so the little clique I was in were all like seated up, you know what I mean? I was like, fuck, I was going to sit on my own now next to these people I don't know. I was like, what's happening? Yeah, like, I just sat next to him for the lecture. And then at the end of it, I've been doing revision for like 3 weeks on this topic because I wanted to just get I needed the good mark. And like he was sitting next to me, this dude, and he's looking through my notepad, and then he just went like after the lecture, can I have your notes? And I went, what do you mean? He went like, can I get a photo of your notes? And I was like, yeah, lad, what page? You know, like I thought he wanted a specific page. Yeah. So I like opened my book up and he went, and then he went. So I like opened photo and he went. Just kept like, and I went, lad, how many fucking pictures are you getting? And then I went like, lad, no, you're not taking a photo of every page. I'll be here all week. But like he was from the other course. Yeah. And he said to me, mate, I haven't got a clue what's going on. You know, can I please have them? So then I felt bad then. So I let him get some photos, and it'd been like 10 minutes. So I went, go ahead, lad, I'm going to have to go. And this is my pad. But yeah.
No, it's annoying that, innit? Especially when you put like loads of the work in and some people, can I just bomb off your notes?
To be fair, I'm not asked by that. It was the fact that it would have took like half an hour to get a photo of every page. Yeah. You know, I
was like that when I was at uni, like the ongoing joke. Well, when I moved here, I didn't know anybody, and then slowly, you know, got a bit of a click in uni. But by third year, we'd get a coursework and my friends would be like, have you come up with your plan of action yet? And I'm like, yeah, I have, yeah. Can I see it? I'm like, no. Right, okay. But I just liked helping, but it was like, I'd look at the thing and go, right, well, this is what we need to do. We should do it this way. And then after a while, people would know that. I don't like people not going to, like if they're not going to pass something or not do well. So they'd be like, can I see your plan of action? I'm like, right, okay. When I started the PhD, out all the details. Yeah, some of the lads, when I started my PhD, they were like, I hope you've got plan of actions ready. I was like, you shush. But I do, yes.
Well, all 3 years, Matt. Right, well, less about us anyway. So we got you back on to talk about your research and what you've been doing, well, since we last had you on. So the first paper that we saw that you published, which we think very topical, but also like very interesting, is the one about ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
So talk us through that. How did that come about? What were your aims there? What were you trying to solve?
So I did. I got invited to do like a guest edit on some journal. Yeah. And then I had to come up with some topics. The really annoying thing is that the paper that I am like first author on got rejected. Damn you, reviewer 2.
Always reviewer 2. I had one the other day, reviewer 2. Sorry, this is proper off piece. Yeah, no. So we put a paper in. So it's to do with, I can probably say what it is now because it's like we've submitted it again. It's looking at ECGs and looking at what data format's best for analysing ECGs, right? So we submitted to one journal and it came back straight away rejected. So reviewer 2 had a few comments, which I was like, ugh. And then I read reviewer 2's, yeah. And for example, one of the points, they said, this work cannot be considered complete as they have not done hyperparameter tuning. We have a whole section in the paper describing how we carried out hyperparameter tuning. Yep. So the paper got rejected because of comments from someone who obviously didn't read my paper.
You just couldn't be asked.
Basically, yeah. And we had a whole section in like the supplementary material which went into even more detail. And then they were like, you need to give details of the models in the supplementary material. We give the outline of every single model we did. And he said we didn't do it.
Sometimes I think it's like rivals.
100%. Must be.
I'll get to that paper in a minute. But there's a paper I got published in the Elsevier Computer and Security Journal. Bloody reviewer 2. So had some work. Had done the experiments myself. Got a student data scientist. Shout out, he did it at LJMU, but he's now done his PhD at Uni of. Yeah. Also. But yeah, basically put this into like a machine learning journal, like you were sort of saying. They were like, oh, you haven't done this. Please expand and explain X, Y, and Z. And I was like, you know, we'd like to thank you for your comments as per your suggestions. You know, smiley face. But between the lines, I'm like, go fuck yourself. I clearly have this thing. Yeah. It's right here. It's in subsection, whatever. Pointed it out. 3 rounds of reviews. So it was reviewer 2. Not even making that up. But reviewer 2. By the third review, just went, this work's shit. Basically, like, this is...
Shit, it's Paul.
There's no contributions. This work is meh. I was like, that's not a constructive comment. So I contacted the editor and was like, look, I'm not being funny. I've done the changes they've suggested, and now they're basically saying that the work's shit.
Why didn't he say that from the start?
Exactly.
If it's foundationally just bad work, you should have just read it and went, listen, no changes is going to help. This is just bad.
So they were like,
you know what I mean?
Because we had all the headings, like we had, you know, explaining like the fucking split and the training stuff, and I can't even remember specifically, but we had all of the things, and then they were like, well, why have you not used this thing? And we were like, well, because of the data set we were using, we've done this. So we went, okay, well, we'll change it, we'll do this. And then the guy was like, this is shit. But the other reviewers were like, oh, change this and do this. And then I contacted the editor, who ignored me about 3 times, and then it went to basically everyone else said it was fine, but reviewer 2, don't know how much influence they had, basically went, no. So then the editor rejected it and went, oh, there's been too many rounds of revisions. And I emailed back again, being like, well, have you actually checked your bloody emails? I've emailed you a few times and tried to point out that reviewer 2 is not being constructive. They're just being negative. And also they said, oh, it'd be really good if you reference X, Y, and Z paper. So my student was like, I'm pretty sure this bloody person must, Have
you went to another journal now, or?
Well, yeah, basically I took that paper based on all the million changes, put it into the Elsevier Computer and Security Journal, and I got accepted on the first one. I was like, oh fuck. They accepted it, and then 2 days later we're like, here's your proof. It's online.
That's so sick.
And we have to have like research output every year, and then my actual it's my old PhD supervisor, but he's my research mentor, and he was like, oh my god, you got published in this. And I was like, I just thought, fuck it, I'll aim for here, but that wasn't the plan.
That's a fucking to the reviewer that didn't like it. That's a bit of a fuck you, innit?
I think before I did it, I took the stupid papers he made me reference out and went, there you go, it's complete.
What's mad? Sorry, Belly.
Oh, sorry.
Like, if there's a roadblock due to one person's opinion, I think there's got to be another way to, like, okay, what about if we get one new person to look? If they don't think the same as this person, then we can get, because it literally is, at the end of the day, if there is a disagreement between even reviewers, it's an opinion. So, like, you think it's bad, for example, and Ryan thinks it's really good. So, but now it's stopped because of the one bad opinion.
Yeah.
So, it should be an option to go, same journal, we're going to get 2 new ones, and if they think it's good as well, we ignore the bad, the person who said the critique can still be there on paper, but it can still get published.
But then that's the problem with the review system, is you can't find reviewers. So one of the hardest things
is to find someone,
is getting reviewers in.
Yeah,
we've had papers, like I've had a paper we've submitted to somewhere before that have said no because they couldn't get reviewers to review it. Yeah, have you had that?
Some of the better ones have like a confidence thing where you'll say like, here's my opinion, but this is my expertise in this area, because I've been invited to do stuff and I'm like, I don't understand this, and I'll say as much. I'll do the review and I'll be like, my confidence in my understanding of the subject is 30. But recently, in the last like year or so, I love, like, I'm on all the journals that I'm trying to get into, so all of a sudden I'm a bit more aware of basically how they critique it.
Yeah.
Because I aimed, like, there's like a digital investigation journal. I've been rejected from that so many times over the years, and in the last like 2 years I've been published with them 5 times, and it's because I understand how you're supposed to present it better.
It's mad that.
So it's almost like gaming the system.
Yeah, it's
how they want the information presented for their like kind of user base essentially, or reviewers.
As well, because it's like some of the questions I'd have in the past, it was maybe because it wasn't myself leading the experiments, it was some of my collaborators, and I'd say, well, they want X, Y, and Z, and I'm thinking, well, you haven't told me that, and then they still don't know those details, and I go, there's sometimes a problem with collaboration is you're clearly saying we need to include certain things and they don't have it. Like, to go back to that ChatGPT paper, it was collaborators. I sort of collaborated on it, but it was like someone else was running the experiments. So every time the reviewers might say, oh, well, we have a question actually, because it was looking at, was it the security implications of it, or basically how you could get the AI to tell you things about hacking and stuff and other things, even though they say you can't do it.
Yeah.
But where it was being ran was in the UAE. And I was like trying to run it here in the UK. So sometimes when I was trying to like maybe update stuff, I was getting slightly different things. We didn't even go into that in the paper, but right away it was like collaborating with people from different parts of the world, like restrictions might be slightly different.
So you're going to run into issues there.
Yeah.
Going back as well to like the paper issue and they're getting stuff reviewed. I won't give away full details because it's a private conversation with Professor Chris Hughes after the podcast we had the other week. But he was saying, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, was that just because a reviewer has says something's not worthy or like in their opinion, if you've got other evidence of other people saying it is, he said you should be able to publish it, and those comments from that reviewer are just publicly available. Like, here's a big critique of it, but it's available. You know what I mean? But he was like, but it just gets shut down. It's like, no, never coming out now, because one person has
Yeah.
put a stop to it in your case, and then you end up, if you don't try and go somewhere else, you're just stuck with a paper then that's like, I can't get it out.
On that note, I once got rejected from, again, a journal, and the irony is it's the coursework topic for my students this year, and I had a meeting before, and the student needed like a network diagram for critical infrastructure, sort of cyber attacks, and he was on Teams and he was sharing the screen, and it came up with Google Images, and I went, click that first one. I went, I think I drew that diagram. And he went, what? And it was a paper I wrote like 12 years ago, and he went, oh, this is so weird. But my PhD topic originally was critical infrastructure. So I'll look at the systems, the security vulnerabilities. We were hoping to get data. We didn't. We had to switch topics. But I'd published on it, like the vulnerabilities of the devices themselves. I'd put things in about, the rise in cyber attacks. And this journal reviewer said something like, well, they rejected my paper. And they said, it was something like, just because church bells ring on Sundays doesn't mean everybody goes to mass in the same way that people don't like apples and pears. It was... I don't know what the fuck they meant, but I was like, what?
Just because church
I think
bells
what they
ring on
mean,
Sunday.
just because you say it's a thing doesn't mean it's a thing. And I was thinking, did you read the fucking paper? I have all this evidence. And at the time, the big cyber attack was Stuxnet.
But you could use that for him. Just because you say it isn't a thing doesn't mean it isn't a thing.
Yeah, but also I was thinking, this is like, at the time, I'd done some workshop papers. I'd been at critical infrastructure events. And then at the time, so Stuxnet was the big attack, and no one really knew who did it. Unsurprisingly, about 4 or 5 years later, America made a YouTube video and they went, we did it. It was us. But it's all like...
It was me.
Yeah. And they did it like, it was like an Iranian nuclear power plant, and they just wanted to be like, got into your systems, bro. And you're like, what the fuck? But I was writing about all of these other attacks that had happened around about this time. And this one reviewer was like, in your opinion, and rejected me. And I was like, not in my opinion, read the paper.
I've got the evidence there, No, it's in your fucking opinion that it's not happening.
So I kind of like, again, I think an academic thing is not taking it personally, but back then I would take it personally, and I'd be like, I mustn't have expressed myself clear enough.
Do you think there is like a ego thing amongst some reviewers where they like...
Probably.
I don't know, maybe they're in the area, or I don't know, there's just like a bit of a power play where they're just like, because I can't stop it, I'm going to stop it.
I don't think it would be so much that. It would be more down to things. So, say, for example, a very likely situation I could foresee very easily happening is, say, I submitted a paper that disregards your entire life's work. Or not disregard, but like...
Goes against the fabric of something you're outlining.
Some weird... So, say you use X methodology.
And you said it's
and then
bollocks.
I've come out and said, well, this Y methodology is actually much better in a lot of situations. So then everyone will start using Y methodology. Then the person, say if someone who had spent a lot of time using X would come in and go, well, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
I think
as well, that's a big situation I could see happening.
No, and people like, people forget this goes on in academia and science. Of like, people, just because someone's someone who's been educated and they know a lot on a topic doesn't mean they haven't got an ego, doesn't mean they're not narcissists, doesn't mean they're not competitive. They've still got all these traits as a human, or they haven't. And if you bump into one of them as a reviewer and they're in the competition with you, they're not going to go for the greatest. They might do, and most of them will go for the greatest science. They're right here. Some of them are still got those human aspects which are negative, and will go, I want to critique it just because it goes, as you say, that he's downplayed X methodology and he's saying Y is better, and I use X all the time. Fuck him.
Yeah.
You need to go back. Just because they're educated doesn't mean they're not fallible.
There's just a whole host of reasons, like Elsevier, just that company in general, just pisses me off because they make billions a year off.
We do the reviews for them,
and it's our material. So we give up the copyrights for everything we make. So a company can make $3 billion a year, and we pay him for the privilege.
Spotify like all over again.
Every person who asks...
You don't pay Spotify?
Every person who asks, like, obviously Chris, shout out to Chris Kavanagh, when he did the thing, his podcast, but when he started his PhD, because, like, I think when we started going out, he started his PhD, and I'd finished mine a few years before, and one of the first questions he asked when he was doing his PhD was, how much money do you make off the royalties? Because at the time, I think I had like 30 odd publications. I'm now up to past 50.
Yeah.
Been a researcher for like 13 years now, I think. But I was like, I literally make no money. And he went, what? He was like, that's a fucking scam. I was like, I pay them to publish, or the uni has some subscription.
The thing is, for me, academia, I understand them not making money off your stuff because it should be open source. Like, and then you don't want to be financially incentivized for
science.
Yeah, because then that leads to a whole like, just look at big tobacco, and you find your answers there. But it's not, we're not being financially incentivized. These big companies are, which then leads to situations like, well, they need to turn papers over. So we'll get 2 reviewers in, one of them doesn't like it. Well, we can I'll get the next one in. So it leads to that sort of min-maxing and optimization. It's all a fucking...
What leads to that?
Well, so say you have a big company like Elsevier, who owns... How many journals are there? It's...
I'd say thousands.
Does me head, you know you've got to fucking log into it every time you try and get on a paper. It takes an extra 2 minutes to access it.
So thousands of journals, Elsevier. So that company takes all the money, so the $3,000 you pay, they take it. So for them, they're not going to want to mess around to get the perfect science. If you're in the business of getting academics to pay money, you just want the turnover, you want papers in, papers out. So if you get 2 reviewers, one says it's bad, you're not going to fanny ass around and go, oh, well, let's get 2 more in.
Oh yeah, it's just like, oh, fuck.
The business is getting things published.
Yeah, and that's something wider than academics.
A good editor reviews it though. Like in the digital investigation one, I think it's like forensic science, digital investigation. There's like a lot of like industry, like really good people on it, and then there's like a few reviewers, but they then check because they don't want you to just publish anything. Yeah. Because like I tweeted about a paper I've just had out recently, and then someone actually linked to these researchers. They were at some SANS Institute event, but I teach about that, so I was like, oh, they spoke at that, and I watched their video. It was really useful, but Elsevier wouldn't, well, in my field anyway, that it's the only digital investigation or kind of digital forensics journal on Elsevier that I am aware of. So they kind of only put stuff out that like hasn't been done or you've got a new approach. Yeah. But other ones, Well,
and that's a thing. I'm not like blanket saying every journal's a shite, even Elsevier ones, because as you say, you get brilliant, you get brilliant editors and people in academia who want to do good things, but then you get your predatory journals, which are just. Have you come across that yet? Like
no, but I know what you mean. But what you're saying's got a wider scope to it. As soon as there's money to be made, it collapses the fabric of integrity in most situations. Like, and integrity collapses under the pressure of vast monetary gain. It's like every industry look into where that will happen. Some integrity collapses, as you say. Not all. Some integrity remains, but a lot of integrity will collapse at that point.
And as you say, because it's not the scientists gaining, I think there's still integrity there. Yeah, you have the back and forth, but obviously, say if you go to one journal, someone doesn't like it for X, Y reasons, you can still get it published somewhere else. The problem for me comes in, this is very left field from what we started talking about, but the problem for me comes in is the monetary gain and integrity gets lost in the fact not all research is open source. For me, that to me is the biggest loss.
You just said something there which is interesting. Sorry, Áine, that we'll get to your ChatGPT paper. The scientists don't make the money off their own work. Now, there's no model where we don't know if that would be better. But would scientists, because it's their own work, do care more about the integrity of the work and would be less incentivized to just publish for the sake of it, so on? A journal,
you can actually
a journal owner's completely disassociated with Áine completely. He doesn't care either way about her research. Really, he just wants to get the journal. But if it was like a self-governed thing where like we did it ourselves and it wasn't this huge company with this, but then I'm talking like proper revolutionising papers, but like, do you know what I mean?
To me, it makes sense that research is paid for by universities. So a university will pay you money, or a research centre, whatever. And then you put that money out. There's no biases. You just get paid to do research. I don't, because then the problem is then what you get is then if scientists start getting paid for the research you do. So obviously you can publish a paper and then make a company on the back of it, can't you, essentially, if you wanted to?
Yeah, I know people who've done that. It's honestly, I get offered consultation jobs all the time. Yeah. But it's the insurance you need, or the liability insurance and stuff. And I go, nah, it can't be arsed. And then it's tax. Again, it can't be arsed. But I do research because I like doing research and it informs my teaching. So I teach like level 6 forensics and also computer security and things. All the research I do feeds into that. But I know in the past, I'll not mention names, but I know there's been people who have done research that then certain universities have went, oh my God, that's brilliant. We should patent that and we should sell it and we should do this. And the persons went, no. And they've went, well, we own your intellectual property actually. And then they've done everything they can
about it.
Well, I know of one where it didn't get the commercialized aspect that it was supposed to get, and then I know where maybe someone else has taken it, done all this other research with it, and then they've kind of forgot about the student because it was the student came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And then the people who help them, they get the credit. Like, it's.
Do you not? Do you not own your own research then?
It depends. Like if you come in, like Chris with his PhD, Chris Kavanagh, because I realise you've had a lot of Chris's on the podcast. But yeah, Chris.
It's actually quite a weird statement. It's true.
Because the last one was that Professor Chris was like, and you just went, oh yeah, Chris Kavanagh. Fuck, that's another Chris. Like
Chris, my dude. It's Chris Kavanagh, everyone. I apologise.
This is an apology from me and Sam.
It's Kavanagh, not Kavanagh. Kavanagh's a Scouse thing. Yeah. That's what we say. We apologise. I'm sorry, mother of Chris.
Kavanagh. Right.
Sorted ourselves.
We have now redeemed ourselves.
Yeah, I can go home happy now.
Yeah.
But I can put my halo back on.
Shit, I forgot about mine.
No, but when he came up with his PhD proposal, he contacted Queen's University, and because that's where he did his undergrad, and he was like, and he had a good relationship with the department, and he was like, right, this is what I want to do for my PhD.
Yeah.
Here's my proposal. Here's my literally here's all my initial research I've done, and they were like, yes. But he was self-funded, and typically they always say, get your name into that thing, apply for all this funding. Was applying for funding, keeping his name. No one was giving him funding.
Did he have to work then through his PhD, or?
I got a loan basically for the first year. Started doing extra jobs, I will send you the link, but he's been an extra in Line of Duty.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the pub.
Jasper Chandlerly or something, guy in the back.
I mean, in the pub, he was showing
we were in the pub the other week.
He's just like a police guard in a jail somewhere.
That's class.
And he opens the door for an actor and they walk in.
You know what's worse? Is he had to shave his beard off. I was like, you look fucking weird. So he did that. He did, what was it? Bloodlands or Badlands. It's is it James Nesbitt was in it? It was really shit. The funny thing was, he was a CSI guy.
Chris, that's my work.
No, he as a fucking archaeologist, he was guy in CSI suit. In that, he got all this extra stuff, and just before he found out he got funded, he said to me, he was like, "Love, I've updated my profile. I've said I'll do sex scenes and nudes," and I was like, "Okay, you're literally selling yourself for your work, but okay."
You've got to get
your
the bag.
own person, you do you. And then about 3 days later, Queens were like, "Oh, we found some funding. We'd like to fund you for your second and third year and pay your fees." Thoughts? And he was like, I think he waited 10 minutes. Yes, please. Yes, I will. I will do that. So, but then all of a sudden, because he was on a studentship, he was entitled to a bit more academic support. But I think then, I don't know. Then maybe do they own his intellectual property a bit? Because then they were doing research on their behalf. I think a good uni or a good researcher, they'll support the student, but other places they think, how are we going to commercialize this, or how are we going to do X, Y, and Z? We were in a conference, it was in Portugal in the summer, and it was all these people he'd met. I think he paid his own money to go to some classics society talk they did in Manchester, and we met some really cool researchers there, and then they were at this thing in the summer. And again, I literally, my advice to Chris was smile and nod, because people tell you shit and you go, "Oh, thanks for that opinion I didn't ask for on my research." Oh, someone will go, "Have you tried this?" Shit, yeah, that's a good idea. But you're like, "Oh, yeah, thank you."
Yeah.
But also then just networking's really important.
That's one thing I found massively about academia. I didn't understand how big networking was going to be.
Plus, everybody knows everybody, particularly in my area. Having used to work at Edgehill, I'm at John Muir's. One of my collaborators on some of the papers, Alex, he's now in Manchester, and it's but we worked together years ago at Edgehill, and then he came to John Muir's, and it's but if you go to certain unis, generally you know who does what research, and most people I know are really nice, but if you're not a polite person, everyone knows it.
This podcast is the best networking tool ever.
Oh, it's so good. We've met so many people.
Me and Belly now can go into paleomagnetism, archaeology, computer forensics,
jockey health management.
Oh my god, that one was brilliant, because I was like, oh my god, that's how they drop the weight so quick. Okay. You
know what you've just been saying, and people giving your opinion on your research, and sometimes you just nod and I want to just say it now because I'm mates with him. Ian Jarman, when you were pissed in that pub the other week, you were chatting so much shit about multimorbidity. I haven't got a clue and you were just going on. I was just nodding, by the way, and you were absolutely clueless. And you were asking bad questions that didn't have answers. And I was just like, yeah,
I tell you what though.
So
on that vein, there's nothing worse, right? Is when someone who's like a senior lecturer or whatever, say you're presenting, and they'll ask a question about what you're doing, and you know it's a load of shite.
it's a bad question.
It's
There's
a bad
such thing as
question.
a nonsense question.
Yeah, you've asked a bad question, but
yeah.
you don't want to turn around to them and go, what you've asked there's nonsense.
So
because there is.
Yeah, you smile and you're
Yeah,
like,
you're
what
like-
a fucking
So if I
dick,
said
why
to
are you asking that?
if I said to Anya, like, where does the horse and saddle go in the ChatGPT model you worked on?
It's
And
a
I'd
bad
be-
question.
That just makes no fucking
Yeah.
sense. That's what Jarmo was chatting. Like
Yeah.
that was the level it was at, and I was going.
Oh.
These
I'd
questions
say
don't
my
have
line,
answers.
and if anyone they'll know this, but I did a talk, and it was on again when I was finishing my PhD, and it was we used to do like internal research talks, and one of my friends was like, he used to ask people a question with a follow-up question and just something else in at the end before you even had a chance to answer the first thing. And I was like, do not do that to me, because I get flustered and just like don't. So we didn't do it to
You
me.
get flustered.
Did it to other people, and then I did my talk, and I thought, oh, okay. So I'd asked the friend not to do that.
Yeah.
But then someone at the back who was like 18 months behind me and was like getting on like they knew the fucking field. It was all to do with networks, and it was like, oh well, what about like DDoS attacks in this scenario? It was something so fucking stupid that I was like, I don't think that's quite within the scope of what we're talking about. But hey, let's have a chat at the end. Yeah, no problem. Catch me after. And then they did. I was thinking I was being polite. So they're like, we're going to have a coffee and have a chat. And I was like, oh, sure. Fucking dick. It really pissed me off. So then I had to go and like humor them. And I was like, I don't know why you asked me that question. And they're like, no, I was really curious. And I was like, I didn't want to go. I mean, it's really obvious based on what I said that that's got nothing to do with anything. But I'm not like, that's why I was like, oh yeah, let's have a chat.
There's a word for them.
busy people.
Fucking just asking a question for the point of asking a question.
Because what
Busy,
people want,
busy.
because what they want to do there is put their name out in it and be like, I can say the buzzwords, and
Yeah.
I'm confident in asking a question.
It's like another, I'll not name them, but like in my department, there's like a certain academic, when they turn up to the research questions, and if they're asking you a question, it means you have not explained things very well. And they'd never ask me one, which was good. But sometimes there was this guy like years ago, and it was like, he got asked a question, and basically the person I'm not naming said like, what's the novelty of your work? And the person went, there's many novelties. And he went, name one. Oh, where do I begin? And he was like, at the start, maybe just like, and he was like, oh, I mean, there's, and it was, I think it was basically the person, it was like smoke and mirrors. Like I honestly didn't quite understand what their work was about. And I was like, what are they talking about? And then basically this senior academic was like, I'm going to ask for some clarity on some stuff. And they were like, oh, it's subjective. And he's like, no, seriously, I've asked you, like,
Just lay it out.
lay it out, like layman terms.
Simply,
go.
yeah.
And then they didn't. And then after, everyone was like, oh my God, how do you feel? Because, you know, your man asked you all these questions, and he was like, oh, it was just so good to have like a back and forward. And everyone else is thinking,
No,
there's like basic questions you can't answer about your work. You need to go back and fucking...
That's decent though, but you are onto busy people though, who like,
Yeah.
Don't
there's
ask them
always
nonsense
one.
questions.
So Ryan will give a talk, for example, and then some like, and you can see them desperate to put their hands up, and they'll just go like, yeah. So the first model, is that a good model? Better, yeah. And you're just like, okay.
Like,
And you're like, why have you fuck off? You know what I mean? Why have you asked the question?
that one. I like the one. Were you there? The one that I won earlier in the year.
The one that I won.
I had to give a present. No, wait. So I had to give a
I was a
presentation.
judge. Yeah, you
yeah,
won.
so I had to give a presentation on.
bribed me, that's
we
why
know
I'm
what was
here.
going on.
Yeah. Okay, it's all about who you know. So I had to give a talk. So then basically it's on about athlete ECGs and like what you can get from the ECG and what you can learn about the athlete's heart. And someone asked a question. Well, aren't you disadvantaging yourself by not using a 24-hour ECG? And I went, well, yeah, but like if I had them, I'd use them. Like, what a stupid, not offensive.
Was this
like,
the one where you had to explain it in 3 minutes?
no, this was the other one.
Oh, right.
On top of
the
that.
one before that, someone went, it's like you're explaining it, assuming we know what the subject's about.
Oh
And
yeah,
you're
so
like,
I said unsupervised learning is when. So this is my description.
Yeah.
Unsupervised learning is different to when you kind of know what the answer is. Basically, unsupervised learning takes the data, automatically learns the key relationships, and generates clusters based on which data points are similar. and his point afterwards was, you shouldn't assume people know what unsupervised learning is. I can't dumb it down more than that.
Nice
in
pictures
3
as
minutes.
well.
In 3 minutes, I
if you
can't.
had pictures with that'd be sound.
I can't explain
Maybe
that.
just in terms, I can get you be a bit like.
But
whoa,
in like your 3-minute thesis, like that was like,
that was the aim.
how am I
quick.
supposed to do this any shorter when I've got to then go into my results at the end?
Yeah. No, I thought yours was good. And there was somebody else. Oh, who the fuck was it? It was something to do with soil. It's always soil. Because it's our faculty is like engineering,
Soil.
technology, and building
Soil.
stuff. I don't really know. And someone did a thing where they were like, I hope they don't see it, but it was like something to do with soil, and I was like, I'm really confused. And it was like, this is the type of soil, and we've done this, and blah blah blah, soil, or cement maybe. And I was like, okay, any questions? And I was like, and I looked at the guy who asked you because he was like, that. Turns out that was his student because he went, oh no, they've explained it so clearly. And me and the other reviewers were like,
No.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what they're on
You know
about.
what I think you should have at things like that? Big buzzers.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the X Factor.
Yeah, because you get those people
No,
that
Britain's
like
Got Talent, sorry.
they might be good researchers, but they're just not made to talk, man. And they get up and they go, so off. We don't care because
Yeah.
that's so boring. We
No,
can't
but
listen to you.
To be fair though, that's kind of a problem on the supervisor's behalf, because to do research you have to be able to talk in some.
So they
in
should
some
be
dis-
prepping them
they,
for
they
it,
sh-
yeah.
That should be something a supervisor gets on quite early.
That's like what the research weeks.
Yeah, and
If
then
they
tries,
notice they're not good speakers, they should get onto
so
them for
you're
it.
really good at writing, really good at research, but your public speaking's not great. Okay, every couple of weeks we'll do a thing where you'll stand in front of me
And do 2 minutes.
and maybe another thing, and you just do not even anything, just as we would have a normal meeting, but just present and speak to 3 people and
Yeah.
just try and get them more comfortable with it, because I think, because then, as you say, I feel so sorry for people when they stand up and you're like, oh, this obviously isn't your bag, is it?
I don't know why people don't practice though. Like when I was,
Some people are nervous, though.
They just
aren't
hate
you?
it, don't
They just
they?
can't do
I
it.
just personally like when I was doing my degree, I used to work at Liverpool Football Club,
Yeah.
study support officer, work with kids. Realized I definitely did not want to be a teacher. Definitely wanted to become a lecturer. And it's like, I hate public speaking, but the more I do it, the more you go,
Yeah.
It's like every conference I ever go to. And generally the night before I'll sit in the hotel, have some wine or go to the pub or do something. And I'm a bit like fuck it. It's already published. Doesn't matter how this talk goes today. It's in the proceedings. And that's
Yeah.
my mentality of it. And it's, I don't know. It's like the more you do
A
it, the
weight
better
off.
you get. But when I was doing my PhD, I'd be like, oh, like Bob in our department, and he made this joke once, but everyone else was like, this is a true thing. He used to go to the research talks to see what word I was going to mispronounce. I'd stammer saying a word. I don't have a stammer, but I just like get in my head too much, and I'd be like, oh, you see that word there, the interoperability?
Yeah.
And he's like, and then next year it would be some other word that I couldn't say. The worst thing is though, and I don't think I've said it the last time, is because I've practiced and I'd be like just smiling and being like, oh, I'm doing the talk, but internally been really stressed out, was that I mispronounce words all the time.
I do.
I'm
Yeah,
one of those
same.
people that like learnt words reading and like say it wrong, and like, but because of my accent, like no one corrects me because they think it's like a Belfast thing.
The same with us because they think it's a Scouse thing.
Yeah.
You just go like,
Like I shit you not, I have been at conferences and I have been at events, and it was only about 5 years ago where someone said to me, what is this paradigm you keep talking about? And I was like, what? Oh yeah, no, just before you were talking about the paradigm, and I was like, oh yeah, like, so the IoT paradigm I was talking about, you know, the thing that kind of encompasses.
It's a paradigm.
I'm
Yeah.
still saying encompasses, right? Anyway, the thing that makes up the things, you know, the paradigm. And someone went, do you mean paradigm? And I was like, what?
My PhD is multi-mobility clustering to inform more equitable health and social care. For the first 4 months, I was saying multi-mobility clustering to inform more equatable health and social care.
What's
I just didn't know what it was called, and then I went, does that say equitable?
It's also like, you know, the word in a book, you've got I call it preface, the preface in the
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
and then someone was
Preface.
like, just again at uni at some event, and someone must have like saw me do it, and they looked and went, the preface. I'm like, fuck you.
I hosted a workshop a few months ago, and it was all mad, like big long condition codes and the big long
yeah.
names next to them, and I was getting to them, and I was going, syphilis, eczema, syphilis. Anyway, if you want to look at that X24 code, just tell me if you know what it means, and then
I was in a meeting It's like it's a very similar thing. Genitourinary. Like disease, that's the thing in it. Genitourinary. So you can't say it. Genitourinary, right? And
it's like genitalia.
So it's a type
Is
of
it genetic stuff or genital stuff?
I think it's
generational.
no, it's a disease.
I was like, we're established
know.
as not being good at this, so don't ask us.
Yeah. So anyway, I still can't really say it. And I was in a meeting, so I had like one of the leading voices of like AF in the world was in this meeting. A couple other people, and I was presenting work on like we're clustering AFs into different fields. Anyway, right. And it got to this point in the slide, and like it's one of like a parent group of like loads of different conditions. So I had it, and the slide was just this word because I'd been like, right, okay. So I was like, right, okay. So now we're going to look at how neoplasms affect the different clusters. So I got up all the cancers, and then I was like, oh, circulatory system diseases, and then this big fucking word came up, and I just went. So you can see that word, I can't say it, and just skipped on that.
Yeah.
I tried to say it twice, and I went, you all know what that says. I can't read that.
Yeah.
I had to just own it, because I was like, if I don't know, I'm going to be sat here for the next 5 minutes trying to say a word I can't say.
It's better to just, like,
own
I
it.
did a lecture the other day, and it was all to do with, again, critical infrastructure, but it was like malware attacks against things. And the family, it's like GAFGFT or GAYFT. It's something, I don't know how to fucking say it, but I was like, the malware families of that one and the other ones. And the students were like, try saying that. And they're like, I don't know how to say that one. I can't say it either.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, you're not on your own there.
But like when I first started teaching, I would have been like practicing how to say that word. And I was like, I can't pronounce that, but you get the gist. That's the main one. There's other families.
Oh, I've been there far too many times.
Man, Ryan here really struggles with I and E's in words.
Terrible.
Like, you can't spell the word weird or there or anything
so
like that.
if I was going to spell weird now, I would...
You put the I before the before
W-I-E-R-D.
What was it people say? It's I before E, except for like feisty something.
Yeah, there's like a little
foreign
saying.
Something. It's
The amount of times he's put something on our socials and I message him going, that is not how you spell weird.
You know what? Do you want to see what I got on early doors? And this is why I think I've got like...
Are you dyslexic?
I'm dyslexic, maybe slightly autistic as well. So, when I was younger, right, I got a very logical brain. So when I heard the rule, I before E, right?
To me,
that's fucking literal. That if there's an I and an E
just went, stop,
next to each other,
that's how everything works.
It goes I and E. But then as you come to become older, you realise that I before E is an exception to the fucking rule.
Yeah.
Right? I just can't get over it.
I think English is a bad language.
It's so hard to learn.
I think it's fucking nonsense, man.
Yeah. English is so hard, though, because Chris is doing, at the moment, he's doing ancient Greek and Latin.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he already knows a lot of those things. But he was sort of saying that he feels bad for students learning English because it's like he learns like by reading stuff, and like he has like, it's a remote course he's doing. But he's sort of saying in English, none of the rules make sense. Like, at least in like ancient languages, it's like, here's the verbs, here's this, here's whatever. And you can kind of sort of
like a logical
put
together.
English is like, oh, it's like this, but every other Sunday these are the rules, just making it up as they go.
Yeah.
No, what annoys me is just like people laugh at me and say I'm not very intelligent, but like, why is the word phone got a PH on it, man? Why isn't it just FONE?
That's like phonetics.
Yeah,
it's annoying. Why is the swear word fuck just got an F on? Why don't we put PH on that one?
No, you know what? The thing that really pisses me off.
It's just like
I've been watching Taskmaster, as I said. I have avoided it for many years. Just started watching it about 2 weeks ago, and the ad on 4OD is Coors, and I'm like, it's Coors? What are you on about? Coors. I call it Coors. They call it Coors. With my logic, I'm like, the Irish band is the Coors, so therefore the beer's called Coors, and even I get confused thinking about it. But then I was like, wait, hold on, you call it a door, not doors. And then I started thinking about other words that really don't sound like they should.
Yeah. Are you like a book or a book?
I'd say book.
Yeah.
I say I'm going to read the book.
Yeah, book.
But
then you don't say, but it's cause then, isn't it?
Cook. I say cook as well, though.
Cook, yeah, same. I don't say kook. That's a very old Scouse thing, that, isn't it?
Cook.
Like kook.
I'm thinking I'm somewhere in the middle, but my accent's really weird. Like, a student asked me where was I from in Scotland. It's like, what's Scottish?
Out! Get out! Start throwing your books at him.
My nan says follied.
Follied?
He goes, he follied them.
Follied?
Followed.
He goes, instead of followed, he goes, I follied your granddad up there.
That's mad, that.
Fucking follied, what?
Yeah, that's like a
Here's one that did mine. This is when I lost all faith for English. I remember it specifically. I was in, and this is weird, 'cause I don't remember anything. I was in year 2. And then, you know what, you're trying to teach your apostrophes.
Yeah.
And then I asked why donkeys... No, IES. You know, instead of like when it's a Y, why's donkeys got an S? And you went, just because. And I went, right, well, I've given up with this. This fucking makes...
Donkeys has got an S.
Like, if you were to say donkeys,
yeah,
it's donkey... you spell it with an S in it. And there'll be a reason. It's
like if you've got like a lorry, and then it's lorries, it's RIES.
Oh, yeah.
Lollies would be...
Lollies would be...
But donkeys is just an S. So when I heard that, I went, well, they just make it up as they go along, yeah. Fucking pointless.
Donkeys, man.
I mean, it definitely isn't. There were probably some linguistic
Could be because
reasons.
if Chris was here, he'd know. He'd be like,
This is one of the
There
reasons...
will definitely be a reason.
And we'll go back to ChatGPT now, but this is one of the reasons I'm happy with AI is because it can take on all this fucking useless info like the English language and do it for me, and I can think about other things, and then when I go to write anything up, it just corrects it for me. I don't have to know it.
Have you used any of the ones built into Word? Because I
the
haven't.
Copilot stuff.
Yeah, I haven't, because I'm a bit like, meh. But you've got people trying to use it. Like, I had cases of, I'm pretty sure it was academic misconduct. And basically, I think they took all of my lecture notes,
put them into Copilot,
put it into the Copilot thing, or put it into some AI thing, and then it wrote the essay. The thing was, it was really fucking shit. And I was like, this is a fail. Like, what the hell? And actually, I suggested, without realizing it was probably the chat thing, was they basically tried to plagiarize me. And I had like... The topic was all to do with, again, like the Internet of Things and cyber stuff. But in the last, say, like 12 slides, I was talking about Sensor City, the big building that the uni has with Uni of. And I was talking about research that Carl Chalmers and Paul Fergus did in my department. So I was just talking about stuff that they did to do with sensor data. And then the student used that in their answer. I was thinking, this is just my opinion on shit. What the fuck? But then they put references in, like journal, blah, 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 blah. So even I was like, look, I'm not being funny. You basically just... paraphrase back to me in my own lecture notes, tried to make it seem like you did the work. No. Yeah. And I think it was because it failed anyway. It wasn't worth going to a panel, but it really pissed me off. And I was like, why? Just do the fucking course. I like research. I like...
So where had they got it from?
They've downloaded all my lecture notes.
So Copilot isn't like ChatGPT.
And put it into Copilot.
And went... read all these things and give me like a 6-page summary, and you're like, fuck you. Yeah. So,
and you got onto it though. Some people wouldn't get onto it though, would they?
But also because the images they had, it was literally a screenshot that I have of like, it's a map, me going, Sensor City's like here behind LJMU.
And they
here's LJMU, here's Uni of. And they put that in like Sensor City, the thing, making it seem like it was this fancy thing. And I was going, it's like it's just a building. It's just a building. Yeah. I was just trying to tell you where the building was. Like, what are you on about?
There's a potential security thing in the future. Is if that Copilot becomes potentially... I was listening to...
Someone said what Copilot is, sorry.
So it's like a built-in thing to Microsoft Office now, where you can ask it stuff and it'll help you. So you know, like in Photoshop? This is the one that, like, where you'll say, draw this, well, and it'll draw you the thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that, but for Microsoft stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you could say, make me 6 slides on something. And again, I haven't used it.
Neither have I.
But sorry, you were just saying about, on the topic of that, like, again, in the department... There's been students who've tried to use that or the chat GPT. I always say GBT, to do code. And they didn't realize that when you ask it to make code for you, it puts it in a certain format. And I'll not say what module, but there was a module that had about half the class were taking the academic misconduct panels because the lecturer was like, I gave you fucking sample code. I did the lectures. Are you messing? They all just went, write me some code that does this. And
at what point though, Anya, is it allowed? Because...
it's kind of like, it's like if you've got a coursework and you're like, because I used to teach data structures and algorithms, like I've been in there long enough that I don't have to teach programming anymore. Wait, because I hate programming. But
is that the how you can tell is that the introductory thing when you?
It's like when you start, you get stuck on first year labs, like teaching people Java, like, and they're like, how do I open Eclipse? And you go, oh, for fuck's sake. And then by second year, I was teaching data structures and algorithms. So then it's like you assume they know how to do basic things, and then people would go, I don't know how to make a class. And I'm thinking, I'm here trying to show you how to make a fucking hash map and you don't know how to
do the basics.
Yeah, so it was frustrating. But yeah, the longer you're in the department, the less. Basically, the longer you're there, the more research output you have, you get like a bit more research hours. So yeah, all the new staff members get stuck on intro to programming, which I don't do anymore, thank God. But when you're doing programming though, and you've got the question, all of the tutorials and all of the code, it builds up to kind of help you know what you need to do for your coursework. But sometimes you'll have a student and they'll just in the report say, you know, like, I've done this thing, I've done it this way. I looked at this source, I saw this Git repository, but I've used the method that they've used. I've changed the variable names, and you go, all right, okay. But then you've just got other people, and I've taken students to panels because I asked you to do a coursework, and you said you never attended, and you sent me something that has a fucking API in it, and I'm thinking, and I know you don't know how to fucking run a program.
ChatGPT's done it for them.
But this would be before ChatGPT. But I'm like, I know you just. I had one once where no one could prove. Everyone just went, well, we know they did it. I went, they fucking didn't. They don't know how. I was like, this is more complicated than it seems. I did a deep dive with GitHub. I was like, you download this repository. You did this. I literally compared the hierarchy of like file structures on the submission
to what they'd done.
Yeah, got found guilty. I then had a master's student who just downloaded something completely online, and I was like, here's the name of a program I found on like page 10 of Google, because I knew they cheated. Here's the one they submitted. Here's this. Here's the one online that has spelling mistakes in the comment code. Here's the comments with the exact same spelling mistakes. I highlighted them. I did like a flip chart, because you always have to present these things to like non-computing people, and then they're like, why would you be doing this? You're going above and beyond. And you're like, because I know they didn't do the work.
As I say, though, going back to it before, yeah, and I know why like lecturers get annoyed, because they went through the effort of putting the tutorial together or coursework, and then our students went and just done ChatGPT. But as we were talking about this with other guests, haven't we? It's like, yeah, for me, the coursework's got to change, because it's a tool. You're never going to stop them using it now.
We've wrote it in a way.
So it's like, you can't go, do not use this online resource which is begging you to use it, because it'll have all the answers. Use our lecture notes only. Yet some kids will, but most kids aren't that good. They're rebellious. I'm going to go on your ChatGPT, I'll do it.
It's like using a
so how do you get around that?
It's like, so you write the questions. It's with the exams and COVID and all that the last few years. It's when we knew they had to be done online, we were told then to change the exams so that if they had to basically do it in 5 hours online, they can't just Google the answers. So you'd have to ask more situational based stuff or scenario based stuff. And like that, last year, because of the train strikes, my exam got switched online last minute, and it really pissed me off. Well, not the train strikes, solidarity and all that, but it pissed me off because so many of the students, when they went, it's online, didn't look at the revision lecture, didn't look at the past papers. Anyone who didn't get, and again, it's 100%, you can do this online. Anyone who got like 60 or less, I was like, I'm looking at their statistics so I can see if they've, I can see their attendance. I can see, did they look at any of this stuff? And generally people who got 60 or less didn't. There was like a 9 or 12 mark question, all to do with like the miter tactics.
Yeah.
And everyone went like port knocking, something else and something else. And I was like, no, why are you writing that? And so many people got the same wrong answer, lost 9 or 12 marks. And I went, what the fuck?
ChatGPT.
Yep. I ran my question through it, and they're like, oh, have you thought about port knocking and something else and something else? Because the thing was, the 3 things, I was like, I haven't mentioned that. I was thinking the ethical hacking module that they do, the cyber students. I was like, but no, this is a really specific thing. You literally could have Googled miter tactics or miter technique, and the buzzword, I think it was either like reconnaissance or something. It would just fucking, here's the thing. Here's the answer. But because they just went, I'll run it through that AI, I'll paste that in. I was like, no.
That's the perfect example, though, of why ChatGPT and that doesn't work. Like, for example, I'll use it for code because I know exactly what code I want. So, like, say, for example, like, I want to make this plot using Plotly, Python package.
You just can't be asked doing it, so you got to
I can't be asked reading the documentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to give me the outline, and then I can adapt it to my data.
That's what I use it to start me off. Like, I can't be asked writing the first time. Just give me a base.
You know what it does, though, so you can kind of go,
well, that's what I'm trying
adjust
to say.
That, do that.
Because we have the domain knowledge to understand.
Yeah.
Like, it takes 20 minutes today, 20 lines ago to 10 minutes. So it just
some
gets it in 30
seconds.
Is
it verbatim?
Yeah. And they'll just go, well, it said this, therefore it must be right. But everyone knows ChatGPT's got the hallucination problem. So it just spits out shit for no reason. And a lot of the time it doesn't give you the right stuff you're looking for.
But I guarantee there'll be students, because this is what I'd do. If you told me not to use ChatGPT, I'd say, I'm using it. But I wouldn't just paste the answer across.
Yeah, you at least change the variable.
I'd look at it and go, okay, if it's right, it's something like this. I can't just paste this in. So I'm going to go on Google as well. Okay, it's confirmed ChatGPT's on the right lines. Okay, now I'm going to create my own version of it. And you never get caught. But these kids are just like copy,
it's like
bang, and just submit.
When I was at uni, and even to the students, and I'd go, look, if you find something online that's helpful, I was like, change the fucking variable names. Make it look like it's yours. I don't care. I was like, if this has helped you do your work, good. But it's the ones who just copy paste and go,
just
what are you on
lazy.
about?
Yeah, don't
lazy.
scream at me. I've cheeses. You know what I mean?
They've now brought in Vivas. So they've said, now
They're decent,
the
'cause that
department's
stops,
brought in
yeah.
this thing, and they've basically said, anything you submit, and I don't know if it's just for third year modules, but anything you submit, we have the right to Viva you. So then you might have to explain it.
Why?
And I know of, not myself, but other tutors where they've had a student submit code, and the tutors have went, I know they didn't do this. Explain this. Blah, blah, blah. What's a for loop? And they go, what's this? I don't know. Oh, sorry, but according to that code, like you wrote this big, massive thing, and they're like, usually after they go, I needed help, I panicked, and you go, right, but just reference the thing.
I asked ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The AI did
It
it.
told me it was my
I
friend.
tell you what though, Vivas are a great idea because like, especially now John Moores, it's kind of moving away from being more of just a teaching
You just got on speaking. I'm
institution.
on the toilet.
Yeah, toilet. So it's kind of moved away more from being just a teaching institution now that it's become more research focused.
Yeah.
I think Viva Prep's so essential.
Oh my God, I had this like top 10 tip thing for Viva Prep, and it's the best advice anyone gave me, and I'll give it to yourself.
I was going to say, I was just about to ask. I need
Swear to
it
God,
all.
right? Know the limitations of your work. It's not a bad thing. It's just know the weaknesses. So, for example, with my work, I, hate talking about it. Honestly, you'll then hate talking about your
Oh, I can
PhD for a
imagine,
while.
yeah.
But it was collaborative intrusion detection. I used a certain algorithm, which was called Dempster-Schafer theory of evidence. I then tried to use it for collaborative intrusion detection and, in autonomous things. But anyway, it's like we used the algorithms, we did the maths, we used it for that, we fused it together. And then I realized the issue with it is it treats every person equally. And I might have mentioned this before. So then I realized the weakness with that is the normalization process. So then my workaround was to add in like a confidence level or something else. So then I added some other maths, did some stuff, went, these results look better. That's my opinion. I'm not a maths person, but it took a while. But it was like when I was going to the Viva, I was thinking, right, one, people might not agree with that, but that's my observation. Two, I used a simulator for quite like the first half of experiments. And then I had a friend, I did some code, but I had a friend like help with it, and kind of like, I knew what I needed it to do, but I was like, how would you do that? And they helped me like fix that. So I had like different types of experiments, but then again, someone might go, why are you not using virtual machines? I had done that for like a year before, and I fucked the experiments and it was pointless. But it's just also knowing that when they ask a question, they're not trying to catch you out. They just genuinely want to know why you did it that way. Yeah.
I've heard that a couple of times, people saying like they're not trying to catch you out a lot of the time. It's just literally, have you done your work and why did you choose to do it this way?
Also know the background of the person. Like, I feel really bad, but I've done a few Vivas where I was the examiner, but I was like the backup guy, like woohoo, getting experience just being there. But I did my first one where I was the examiner, and it did not go very well for the person. But they hadn't published, and they were making claims about like forensics. I feel like they picked me because I do forensics, not realizing that I'm certified in forensics. I think they underestimated picking me as an examiner, and I felt bad for the person. But
Because you knew a lot.
Yeah. And they basically, they said something like cloud forensics isn't a thing. And they said like X, Y, and Z software, doesn't allow cloud analysis. And I was like, yeah, no shit. They don't do cloud. I was like, well, X, Y, and Z would do cloud. And then their literature review, and I give them this and hope they don't watch this, but I gave them, and I went, look, you did a literature review that said there's no methodologies for cloud. Based on the things that you looked at, that would be a fair statement. I was like, but your literature review is very outdated.
Narrow.
And I went, okay, so I went A, B, C, D, E, D's. You could do this. You could do that. And I was very, very, very helpful. And then the person in their uni was like, well, I mean, could you be more specific? And I was like, they just need to do the literature review again. They need to go back to the start. They need to change the experiments. They need to...
Yeah.
I felt really mean, but I was more than helpful. Like, I sent a detailed report, and then they said, could you be more specific? And then I sent like 12 fucking pages where I was like, here's all the points I made. This is what you need to do. I didn't quite say this is the answer, But I was like, because then they tried to say because of COVID and because of budget restraints, and I went, but I was like, it's like using forensics toolkit and going, it doesn't do drones. Yeah, I know. I hope it doesn't do it now. But obviously it doesn't. You should know that. You should then.
That I was quite fortunate in that my literature review got published a year and a bit ago.
Oh.
But then I've like been trying to keep up with it since, and like fingers crossed, nothing's come out that disproves my, like, there's a few papers I can add to
6 months, like 20 pages.
So there's a few papers I can add to it, which I probably will do in my thesis chapter, but they fall into the groups that I'd already defined in the literature review.
Yeah.
So like I was like, whew.
No, but that's good. You've identified the key themes and you're keeping up to date with it. That's brilliant. Like, I've had students who've done like, just going back to some of my work, like last year I think every other student did Fitbit forensics, and I was like, ugh, because when I first did Fitbit forensics, which was about 7-8 years ago, I had a conversation with my boss and I went, can you get anything of forensic interest off a Fitbit? And he went, no, it's a fucking watch. And I went, well, there's no papers on that. And he went, and then I just went, I'm going to prove you wrong. Joking, I was like, I'm going to do some research and I'm going to prove you wrong. And then I had a master's student who wanted to do the project, then decided to do data science, then realised the TensorFlow and all the other stuff's really complicated. Then with about 4 months to go on his project, went, can I work with you again? I'm so stressed out and you're really...
Fuck this data science.
Yeah, it was like, I don't even know what to do, but can I do the forensics idea that you had? And I went, okay. And I shit you not, I did not have access to the specialist software that I generally use in the summer because the person who had it was off. And also because he left it last minute, I went, fuck it, we'll do device forensics. And again, there was stuff you could get off the devices themselves, and also a lot of things in the area mainly talk about the software. So I ended up answering questions like, one, yes, you could get stuff off Fitbit. It used to store things for 30 days. We had like some shitty thing you'd buy off like Groupon or something. Didn't have anything. It was basically like a smartwatch. And then the Garmin watch. Oh my God. So the student as well, by the way, runner, he's like very athletic.
Yeah.
I could have taken his watch and plugged it into my computer and then been like, oh, look at me, I'm an athlete, which I'm not, but I could have still his data.
Look at me.
Yeah, I'd put this on.
All his data just there.
I would have all the data. And so we published that, and then everyone was like, whoa, what the fuck? But also everyone's like, device only forensics, like, because everyone would go, you'd assume it's the app. So the last few years, you know, it's app data. It probably gets the best things.
Yeah.
You can actually log on to Fitbit, or depending on if you're like in America or whatever, you can put a warrant or like a request in to get the online data. Now you can't just analyze the devices themselves. So like later versions, you can't just access. But at this point in time, you could plug it in and be like, oh, I'm in the watch. I can see the files. And then we've had later students who've then done like, was it Joe? He works with Merseyside Police. He did his placement there. He came back. He'd used some of the tools that I'd been mentioning, and I just did my training on. And he goes, I don't mean any disrespect on you, but I've read your paper and I've got some opinions. I'm going to make it better. And I went, great. And in his dissertation and then in the paper that we did, he critiques my work because it's outdated. And I was like, yeah, that's a fair point.
Well, that's the whole point of academia as well. Like, that's not a bad thing. It's just that's the nature of
exactly.
Especially a fast-moving industry as well. Like, especially something like everyone's jumping on. You expect things to be...
But Joe was saying to me, and I was like, no, fair fucking play. I said, well, because I said I did device only. And actually then, so he did the paper and I helped him get it published. Because then after he was like, oh, I want to, do things. But he wrote a really good thing. So for forensics, generally you'll create like a test plan and you'll populate the thing with data for like a few months and then you'll run it. And like that, so last year most students did Fitbit and I was like, oh my God. And they'd go, there's like no literature on it. I'm like, fucking look my Google Scholar up. There's like a million papers, but I just kept referring them to Joe's paper because his methodology was brilliant. He'd clearly say like, we created the testing, we did this. And then he did a comparison between Android and iOS and also the two main tools. And then this year I've got one or two people doing Fitbit and they go, there's no literature on it on you. I'm like, fuck, I sent them look at this paper. And then they've actually cited my old paper. I'm like, you forgot the paper I sent. It's fine.
Big pain.
Yeah, it's, So when people say literature reviews, going back to what you were saying about yours is, the more in depth, brilliant. But sometimes if you see something else, it either supports what you said, but when you're talking about it, you clearly see the year it's published. It's not like you've wrote something and then you've missed it. If someone has something else, you'll see it's 2023 and it's maybe like a new thing that someone's brought out. At the time of writing, you could say, we did all of our things with this basis, but future work would entail that maybe we'll include what they've done for something else, you know.
That's essentially, that was my idea, what I was going to do for, I think it's like my 4th chapter, is I'm essentially going to say, the work in this chapter is published under this, and then just use what I published and just put it there, because I'm like, I'm not going to change it now.
You'll be like, as per, and then you reference yourself, look at
as
me.
Per me in my own thesis. But then at the end, like after like the main body, I'll put like a after publication, and then that's where I'm going to put those other papers.
I've done stuff where I've said, we're doing this, but if you want to read more about the security things of this, see. And I'm like, that's my paper. Like, it's me. I did this already somewhere else.
When I did my systematic literature review, man, I'm not even going to lie, I picked it because I thought, like, there'll be like 5 papers on this, man. It'll be dead quick. Fucking bang it out dead quick.
Like 1,000.
It's like fucking 40 papers, and I was just like, the fuck, man.
Did you have like a big... One of my colleagues, well, I'll say his name, Alex, he's now at Man Met, and he is really, really, really good at systematic literature reviews. And during COVID, because he lives in Manchester and he didn't have to commute in, he had more time for like, you know, just doing research.
Yeah.
And then we did a systematic literature review, and I think it was, well, the funny thing was he emailed me and went, do you want to collaborate on a paper? It's blockchain applications in forensics and the IoT. And I went, all right, yeah, that's really cool. I was like, this is what I'm interested in. And then I remembered, he's my moderator from my master's module that had a coursework entitled blockchain applications and the Internet of Things. And I was like, oh, where'd you get that idea? You know, joking, but we have similar interests.
Yeah.
So he was saying, he was like, look, I've read the papers, I've done this, I'm gonna do all the in-depth. I fucking hate literature reviews, but he was like,
I hate them.
He had like this thing,
so fucking
made a big flow chart. It's like so good, you know, these are my keywords, these are this is what we omitted. That's the kind of writing I hate. And he was like, I'll do this, I need your you know, but he wanted like, if I read the paper and then went, here's some thoughts. So we did that, tweaked it, you know, he's first author, like fair play, but it's cited so much. And then we did a different one, I can't remember what the other one was, but again, I was like, oh, I hate all the background. He's like, I've already wrote it. Yeah, okay, I'll get involved in. You know, so it is a bit of give and take sometimes with people. But
as you're saying, the literature reviews, like my one on Athlete's Heart, it's a very small area, but it's got like, I had looked before, it's got like 2,000 and odd reads.
Yeah.
No citations, you little bastards.
No, everyone thinks it's fucking nonsense.
I tell you what, there's a... Because is it ResearchGate give you like more in depth?
Oh yeah,
reads it.
No citations, you little bastards.
It's like they've read it and went, yeah, okay.
Shit.
There's a
Google tab. I'm gonna look some more.
There's a research group in somewhere in Italy, and it's like 7 members of this research institute have got like the paper saved somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if one of you don't cite this paper soon, even if you say it's shit, just cite it.
Have you got any citations? Because it's a lovely feeling.
Yet. I've not one yet. Well, to be fair, I've got 3 papers. So I've got one first off, that's my literature review. I've done one in cancers. That was a good paper. That I'm like 5th author. I did a little bit on it, but the paper itself is really interesting. It's about curing glioblastomas. So
what you need to do, and I went to a workshop at a conference when I was doing my PhD way back when, was you have to keep your previous work. Someone said like keep it sustainable. So self-citation is not a bad thing. But if you're writing about something and you've mentioned it elsewhere, or you say you've got like an introduction or background section that's similar, just put a reference into your previous paper, because someone might skim it and then, but also they might skim your paper and then they go to your reference list and they go, fuck, he's done something else in this, and then they'll go read it. Because sometimes someone might have came across, say, like the 3rd thing you've done, and they didn't know that the first thing would be relevant. And I realised then I'm that person who's like, oh, self-cited, but...
Yeah, every paper Áine does, she puts absolutely every paper in the intro.
Just a constant infinite cycle
intros
of
are just getting longer and longer in each paper. Basically, the whole paper's an intro with all the citations.
But the worst is you get a reference and you go, what the fuck's that? That's not me. And you go, oh, I think I've got one in like, it's like Polish or Russian at the moment, a paper I've just put out. And I'm like, I don't know what that says. I need to Google Translate it, but I don't know.
Nice.
The 3rd paper, you know that IOC paper?
No.
The censorship one.
Oh, yeah.
Published.
Has it got out in the end?
We've got it out in the end. Finally.
What happened?
We're still waiting for them to do the proofs and that. They're taking the piss with it, really. But went through.
Who took the punt on it?
SN Applied Sciences.
Ooh, congrats.
Thank you.
I know that. I recognise it. I can see the logo.
It's like red and blue or something.
Oh, did you get through the problems?
Yeah. We didn't. We just submitted it to another journal. We just took it.
I went, fuck you, reviewer 2.
Because genuinely, this paper was so it's on like global censorship. So essentially, the paper is we give a list of like 1 to 10 and rank countries and how they censor the population.
Oh, okay.
This is the only journal that it got to reviewers. We submitted it to like 7 journals, and everyone got knocked back at the editor. Or another one it went to reviewers, but it was one of them. They both just give terrible things. But I think we submitted it 7 or 8 places, and this is the first one it got to a proper literature review where we were able to do.
So they wouldn't even read, or they read it and thought like, no.
Yeah. So
well done.
Made up with it in the end. So, and I'm second author on that one.
I'm gonna reference your work and be like, it's fair. What you call like fair to. Nah, it's all right.
Anya's intros are just her citing herself and her mates to get citations on papers. You've got papers on archaeology in it, intros and everything.
You'll have a reviewer too soon go, Anya, why is there 400 references in the intro?
Why are you mentioning Roman classics in your intro? Chris, like, I've just got 7 references.
Cabinet? Is he relevant? And I'm like, let's go with it. Shut up.
You've never heard of the Roman forensic debate that went on in the 50s? No. Well, you don't know about the topic then, do you?
Internet of Things in circa AD.
It was a Roman invention.
Did he tell you he has a book coming out?
Yeah, he said he was in the process of writing it anyway.
Oh, yeah, so he, like, just going to him. But, yeah, he, like, submitted it ages ago. We were at a thing in Portugal, like, a conference, and the publishers of, like, the people you want to publish in his area were there. And he was like, they never emailed me back. I went, let's go fucking see them then. But I had lunch and I went, right, well, we'll go to the pub soon, but you're going to go talk to those people. And I walked up, hi, this is Chris. Talk. I mean, I know you can do that, but I think he was
needed the push.
Yeah. And then they were like, the lady was like, oh my God, I remember your email. I'm so sorry. They've had back and forward and fingers crossed. The whole book's under review.
That's sick.
Yeah. They like accepted it based on the book chapters and stuff.
Wow.
Oh, it was his PhD, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he extended it, didn't he, and done more on it.
God damn it, I killed a tree to print that. I printed his thesis and it was like that thick. And that's like the condensed, you can only have X amount of things. The actual thing, if based the books now, it's probably like that.
If my PhD is that long, I will cry.
Does Chris write how he talks? Is everything like really long?
It's very to the point. He's a really good writer.
Okay, so he's the opposite.
Yeah. Why use a million words when you can use... Well, yeah, he kind of like... When he's talking, he gets it. But, history so people do footnotes though. You'll read a page and it's like footnote. And I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go looking for them.
Yeah.
Like I'll read a footnote, like say I'll read them like an old maths one, because a lot of the methodology I used it was like first published in like 1997 or 98. So a lot of the papers have footnotes and it'll be like, so they'll say blah 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 blah. This statistical thing only holds under these specific conditions in the footnote. And I'm like, oh man, like I get you've got to say it for like mathematical nuance, but come on.
Yeah, and then they have this thing. It's like, is it IBID, like IBID, which means as before. So like you'll just keep the same fucking footnote in to be like same reference. You're like, just say same reference then, or why have 10 references? Use a different one.
Yeah.
So you'll see things, you'll think it's wrong, and it's like a bit. And
right, before we carry on, do you mind if I go for a wee?
Go on.
Just because I have to get round you, don't I?
Shit, have I got to get out?
That's what I mean. Right, so we're back after that short break. So another piece of research.
How was your pee, Ryan?
I feel relieved.
Good.
I feel like a new man.
So I just thought to put you off by.
I was going to say you proper mess with. I was about to say mess with the flow then, but
it's like how was it? He's like good.
Good, yeah, good.
I'm glad.
Yeah. So one of the pieces of research I remember hearing you talk about at one point was identifying online trolls.
Yeah, I think it was the paper titles all to do with toxicity.
Yeah.
I have a funny story on how I kind of messed up the research
and
then how I fixed it. So it kind of goes back to just before COVID, doing research, looking at the different types of forensic evidence you might get. So, you know, like you'd have audio files, you could have media, like file, I can't speak. You'll have like files, pictures, videos, etc.
Different forms,
different forms and different formats and stuff. And at the time I was thinking, whoa, but like a lot of these types of messages are now like, when I did computer forensics in like 2008, it was a computer. Then a few years later, oh no, mobile forensics was a thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like all of the above, but then it's chat messages, screenshots, you know, Snapchat stories, stuff like that. So I was basically really interested in looking at, could we use AI or some sort of machine learning thing, or basically optical character recognition, so OCR, to take a collection of different types of evidences or, you know, media and to extract the words and do something meaningful with it. So I did some small scale experiments, and submitted it to a forensics journal, and I was like, OCR in forensics isn't a thing, and I mean, god damn it, why is no one doing this? And then you could make meaningful insight on that. And then during COVID, a reviewer was like, you can just turn on the OCR feature in like Forensics Toolkit, or was it Autopsy? It was either Forensics Toolkit or Autopsy, and I was like, what?
And it did what you were doing.
I WhatsApped my boss, and I was like, because he's like my friend, but he's my boss, and I went, Tom, did you know that there's like an OCR functionality on this where like it extracts the words? And he was like, fucking since when? And I felt like such a dick.
And you wrote a paper on everything?
They need to have this as a thing. And they were like, they rolled it out a few months ago, actually. And I was like, oh my God.
No. The time wasted. No.
So licked my wounds for a bit. But then I was still sort of saying, okay, fine. The tools might have OCR things. I've still not actually played around with it because it wounded me so much. But the premise was, and it goes back to my undergrad thesis in 2011, was my my undergrad thesis was all looking at computer criminal profiling. So it was looking at a bit of a study, kind of computer science, but mixed with psychology, the motivation of criminals, the characteristics of people who commit certain crimes. And, there was all like forensic case studies and stuff all to do with that as well. But my thing was how people use their words online and kind of like online grooming, stuff like that. And then I became interested in, okay, fine, OCR. It mightn't be a forensic issue, but in my opinion, it's still an issue. So like, could you have a perpetrator or someone who's been accused of doing something? You've got all their evidence there. Like you've got their phone, you've got this, you went through chat logs. Could you run an AI thing, or could you run an algorithm that basically said, he has all the indicators of a fucking predator.
Likely, guilty, likely not.
Like he's been accused of something else, but based on how he talks to people online, we think he's grooming people, or things like that.
Like he's got the like coercive predatory language within his chat logs. Yeah.
So again, coming up with something like that, everyone's like, "That's fucking weird." I'm like, "That's not weird." It's like same idea, haven't explained it well. So then I kind of went, right, well, I'm a big System of a Down fan. I've read something about toxicity, and I was like, toxicity of things. But really, it's toxic words. And it was the student I had working with me during COVID. He did this coursework, or it was like a Kaggle online competition.
Yeah.
And it was all to do with like toxicity and other things. But basically, they helped. It was either that competition or something else. But you can label words and phrases and stuff based on severities and stuff, things. So the project basically was some sort of machine learning thing, and you could, classify things and label them as toxic and give different degrees of whatever. But then we did that with a lot of Twitter information, and just basically
back when you could get to it for free.
Like, and the funny thing
times.
is with that same student, so he's called Michael, he's now at Uni of, again, doing his PhD. But when he was like a first year in one of my modules, him and another group, we set this thing, and it was social media scraping. And at the time, people picked like either Facebook or Twitter, like before you could do, before all of them got locked down. But in his group, they did Facebook and Twitter, and did like a fucking file walk and thing. They did all the coursework. We went, you could do these 5 things, and his group did all of the 5. Like, just pick one. We did them all. They made a program that did all of the above. And the day before it was submitted, Facebook like strengthened their like API, or basically you couldn't get access, it wouldn't work. But I'd seen it work a week before. Their Twitter API stuff, all that things worked. It was brilliant. You just had to like authenticate yourself on, and you could get like fucking so many tweets.
Yeah, because we've done it when in our masters, the Twitter API stuff. It was sick what you could get, but then obviously
shit.
Elon bastard. But now you can't. But basically, at the time we just looked at like, could we classify things? So the aim to kind of build from that was then, so online trolls, could you then have a collection of conversations or collection of tweets? But when I was trying to write the literature review for that, there's actually a lot of people, and they use that for like hate crime, but sports and stuff.
So, right, to spot racism in sports tweets and stuff.
But there's fires and stuff as well, like local people complaining about things in certain areas, like on Twitter, like the water, what do you call it, like water hydrants and things like that. In certain areas, you've got a lot of like these local providers, and they're on Twitter, and they're looking at people tweeting in certain areas just to see like, oh shit, should we maybe send someone to have a look at that? Because people will passive aggressively tweet shit online, and complain about it in forums before they then phone up and go, the thing's not working in my area. Can you come check it out, please? So when I was trying to do that, I then saw people using negative things on Twitter, but to make their company a bit better. Anyway, I've kind of put a pin in it, but again, it was based on stuff and experiments that I did like years ago, and then we made it a bit better.
Yeah.
Then,
Isn't it? So just thinking about it's super interesting to me and Ryan, we were talking about it. Just thinking about that topic generally, obviously with like a model, you'd have like how accurate the model was. You'd be able to go, okay, here's what we did, and we know it was 99% accurate at identifying cancer. And cancer's quite clear a lot of times that the cancerous or it's not. But as you say, with toxicity, it's not like, oh, it's 99% accurate, but because it's like, it's an opinion if something's toxic or not.
Yeah.
How can you be, or for example, if you look through a chat log, how do you know if someone's being satirical with friends and using bad language, or genuinely being a pest to someone?
So like in forensics, like computer forensics, whenever you say you have someone accused of a crime and you've got their message logs, you've got like WhatsApp, you've got Messenger and all that stuff. One of the things as well is that you can have like a dictionary of, so if it's like a drug case, you then know all the slang words for certain drugs, or you might get someone who goes through all the messages and they might say like, okay, this means this, this means this, this means this. And then you can update that, and then you run that dictionary through that whole collection of stuff, and they'll say like, snow, for example, has been used 24 times in these things with these people, and you go, oh, right, okay. So you could have a model, or you could have like, we need to look at these sort of themes, and then you can tailor it. But you can do that with the tool. I then watched something on TV recently where basically it's not 24 hours in police custody, but it was something like Forensic First, or I have Virgin Media, and they like recommended some show, and the guy was like, yeah, we work with the police and we did all like Snapchat forensics, and he basically started talking on TV about the tools and the approaches that they use to get people. And they actually did catch some like pedo guy who was like giving kids vapes. I know you said you might have a vape guest in, but this guy was like making friends with teenagers online and saying, I've got vapes, and then
I'm using that. So is that the new candy now?
But it was
Vapes.
but the vapes had like there was
they were laced.
spice or something in them laced.
Oh shit.
But then he'd be like, if you don't send me pictures, I'm gonna tell your mum you smoked a vape or whatever. And you're like, for fuck's sake. But anyway, basically they got him with all the Snapchat stuff, but this guy on TV was like, this is what we do. And one of the last things he said in this show that pissed me off, he went, and now we use the profile enabled thing where we could look at the indicators of behavioral analysis to see if maybe someone is doing suggestive behavior. And I went, no. But it was a certain tool, I'll not say which one, but they said that this tool does this. But in my department, I know 3 people who've done that training, and I went to them and I went, does this tool do behavioral profiling? And they went, I don't fucking think it does. So I don't know if that person's made a bold claim.
Yeah.
But again, I've been saying it for years. But at the moment, I'm like, in the uni, we've got like a forensics research institute. Professor Caroline Wilkinson, she works in Face Lab. She's leading it. And basically, anyone who does any type of forensic research, like forensic pathology and forensic psychology and anything else, basically, we're all in this big collective group.
Yeah.
And I kind of represented computing and maths. And I stood up and I was like, this is all the work we do in our department. One person emailed me to tell me the work to do. So I basically was like, this is all the work I'm doing in the department. Here's some ideas I have on stuff. If anyone would like to get involved, or, you know, if you think this is an idea worth pursuing, go for it. Because I'm a bit like, meh. And since then, I've made a lot of friends with like other forensic-y people.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm like, here's my thoughts. If you can do this and make it a thing, please make it a thing. Maybe don't give me credit or ask me to get involved. I'd love it. Because one thing you'll notice in uni is, well, as an academic, is you don't have enough time in the day. So
to do all your things.
You'd rather tell someone about a thing and then they go on and you go, oh, sweet. And then they might go, there might be money in that. Do you want your name on this grant? Which, again, never happens in my experiences because I'm not bringing money in. That's it. You're not really a good researcher, supposedly, unless you're bringing in money.
Yeah. Bring a million funding every fucking month.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I did get a small grant, though. I got a QR quality research.
Is it the
thing.
QRS?
PSF?
Yes.
Policy something. Yeah.
That's what when I was on about the AF phenotyping thing before, that was that money.
Yeah.
So that project came from that as well.
So I got
cool.
£10,000 to do a project on deepfakes, and then I hired someone to do the deepfake stuff. But I think life gets in the way sometimes. I ended up doing a lot of the project myself anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, tell us about your deepfake work. We've just discussed that.
Yeah. So I wrote this thing where I wrote the.
Hold on, firstly, sorry, just before you get into that, just so people know, what is a deepfake exactly?
Like fabricated media.
Okay.
So it's like a video that someone has used some sort of art of AI software to make it different. So like a video where someone sent something that's wrong, or like
they didn't actually say it, but
it's been faked. It's
just so everyone's
they've
on the
used
same
deep
page.
learning or basically some AI thing to change it in some sort of way.
So a big one example I know of is they got Joe Rogan with it.
Oh yeah, they're saying
Have you
stuff.
seen
Yeah,
that? So
loads.
yeah, for those who don't know, it's a Joe Rogan podcast. They basically deep fake Joe Rogan to say that it was either a cryptocurrency or some sort of like something to buy.
Not the crypto bros.
That he was saying was like really good. So then that was like an idea of a deep fake. So obviously he didn't say it.
That's actually why banks don't. Literally the last like 3 months, like Barclays and stuff, banks are no longer permitting voice authentication on the phone.
That makes loads of sense, really.
Yeah, because basically the idea and the project was deepfakes, and in the last like 18 months, I haven't applied for any funding for fear of rejection. And I spoke to some of like, especially the ones in maths, like the ones who get like all the grants and stuff, asked for some advice, and they kind of went like, you see, when we get the grants, you don't see all the rejection emails we get. So I kind of had to just get a bit of a thick skin and go, right, fuck it, I'm going to start applying for stuff. So anyway, they said they were doing small money for projects, and the idea is deepfakes, but it's deepfake forensics, because in my opinion, fabricated media like videos, audio, all stuff like that, it's used in malicious means. So like teenagers get bullied by it, like people make. I'd say the bad side of this is it 97. I'm pretty sure it's like 90% of deepfake videos online, it's porn.
I was literally going to say,
and an even larger majority of that porn, it's kiddie porn.
Okay.
And the argument of some fucking dirty bastards out there is, well, that's not a real video, is it? Because they're using AI generated indecent images of kids or whatever
instead of actually molesting children.
Yeah, they're like, well, it's an AI, and you're like, right. So,
because I knew like the celebrity deepfake porn was big, because the amount of celebrities who've put a tweet out going like, I have not done a porn.
Yeah, well, you've got celebrities are the ones where you kind of go, there's a lot of porn stuff, but also then you go, oh, why would they say that? Like, you'll see a video and you kind of question a wee bit. But I asked some of the students, so students who now work in the police and the cyber units kind of in the country.
Yeah,
I just like had a consultation with a few of them, and I went, am I imagining this? But is this a problem for you? And also, my understanding is there's no forensic indicators. So a little sidebar would be like if people use steg analysis, or basically a tool to hide files within a file, or certain techniques. There's like little indicators. So there's one called like steg tool, or is it hidden secrets? But anyway, you would have a file. Generally, if you've got the virgin file, the file with nothing wrong with it, you'd know that it was different.
Yeah.
Or you have a file and you look at the metadata and there's something in there that basically says
it's a bit fishy.
Yeah, and you go, oh right, okay. But with deepfakes, there's nothing like that. Other than you going, I'm pretty sure this is not, unless it's like a blatant, this is like a puppeteer thing where the voice is not, the face isn't quite moving as it should.
Yeah, like something obvious that everyone can go.
Well, did you?
That's not fucking Jennifer Aniston. Like,
did you run into the one the other week with Keir Starmer?
No, but I saw the internet. People losing their shit about it, and I just was like, oh.
During the Labour conference, someone deep faked an audio clip basically of him like being like dead horrible to one of his staff, like as if he was being like a proper tit. And then like fair play to like both sides of the bench, they came out and were like, yeah, this is like a deep fake type thing. But it just shows
it looks so real
because
though.
they did it without video.
Just audio.
So it was audio. So because the audio, as you know, it sounds so realistic, you didn't have to match it up. So it was like breaking news, this has been recording of Keir Starmer. And it came out, and then everyone was like, no, it's a deepfake, came out. But like, as you say, that's...
You knew that was bollocks though, because Keir Starmer hasn't got the minerals to raise his voice above like here. Everything's just like... Get dead excited about Labour. Yeah. And it's like, lad, no jazz of you, lads.
He ruined Labour, bastard. Anyway.
I tell you what, though, they'll get in, and it's probably better than...
I'd love if Labour got in, but
Yeah, I'd say Kia like over Rishi, but
God damn it,
still
like,
boring person either way.
Yeah.
when we did the union marching down in London, and I went down, I'm the union rep for our department, and Jeremy Corbyn was like the guest appearance, and I was fangirling. I was like, oh my god, thinking like I voted for this man so many times, and all the things he proposed, you know, like 4-day work weeks, you know, internet for everybody, all these things, and everyone's like, what a weird thing to suggest, and slowly everything's coming in. But anyway, back to the deepfake thing was, I asked a lot of the ones in the industry, like, is this a problem?
Yeah.
And actually they said that it takes, when they have a deepfaked thing, so a video or audio or something like that, and maybe they kind of, it's a gut feeling that it's maybe not quite what it is.
Yeah.
And then you have a discussion, and the younger people seem to know that it's probably fake. Older professionals don't know. They're like, I mean, I don't know. And it basically, it takes time, and it's meh. So I did a project where we looked at, are there forensic indicators? What's the best methodology? What are the commonly used tools out there? And then I kind of did like a summary of, here are the indicators. So like shadow inconsistency, light, stuff like that. And then I got forensics ones in. So I just emailed all my like students here now, like cyber experts in the UK. And I was like, do you want to come to a workshop that I'm running in the uni? There's catering.
Yeah,
That's
sandwiches.
why you have to put catering.
I was like,
that is
lunch
the
will be
prerequisite.
provided and coffee. And then I had like people from like the North Wales Police, like Merseyside Police, and some other sort of researchers and stuff. And I then had like presented some stuff I did, and I was like, but also I genuinely wanted to know what they thought. And I was like, am I like been naive here, or have I missed something? And they went, no, you're basically, I concluded that there are no forensic indicators, and honestly it's gut feeling.
Yeah.
Or unless it's a really bad deep fake. And I was like, and this is a problem in our area.
So what, there's no, when you went through it, other than someone with a bit of nous who's watched a lot of them can go, this is bollocks.
Yeah.
There was no other
And
indicators.
It's, I'm putting in for like a funding, I'm putting in for some Lieberham grant, because I have a way and I've got an idea on how you could then test for this gut feeling, which I can't really go into. But basically I'm sort of saying, like, as a forensics person,
One idea potential, this has just came to my mind. Look at, I don't know how possible this is from a video. You know, if it is a video, trying to match the vocal sound to, does the mouth make the correct sound, like correct shape
in our
for that sound?
In our uni in engineering, there's like an audio video masters.
Yeah,
they do things like that. But my perspective is
That's
from
if
like,
there's audio though, or if
you
there's no
kind of
audio.
just want like
Video.
a quick way around it. So I'll like a little clip of it would be, it's like you're looking at it and you're knowing, I basically want to use like machine learning and stuff and FNIRS, and I want you to be able to measure and look at, like, you know, like eye track and stuff. You kind of know and you don't know why you know. So can I use, with someone using like eye tracking glasses, and I know someone who has it, can you look at the hot
that's so
spots
sick.
and you'd be like, I mean, and you're kind of trying to look at it and you're trying to figure it out, and then the AI is going, well, clearly it's this thing or this thing or this thing, and it's something to back up your gut feeling. Like, can you do something? There's more to it, but that's kind of the idea. Because, and again, talking with a lot of the forensics cyber experts, ex-students here now in industry, but I said to them, I was like, how do we know? Unless it's a celebrity and you go, well, like, God damn it, they wouldn't say something like that. Unless it's like someone you publicly, you know, and you think, oh, or you've seen a video similar to it,
You wouldn't know.
you take it on face value. Like,
Yeah.
I have a student doing a deepfake forensics project for his dissertation, and he was saying about stuff, and I said, I saw a video on Reddit, and it's about a cat that grew up with dogs, so the cat barks, because I was explaining to him how cats talk to other cats by like beep, beep. They make like this weird kind of,
Yeah.
and then he went, I hope that wasn't deepfaked, and I was like, oh my god, I really hope it wasn't. But I was like,
How would you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it was cute. And then I was like, well, no, if the cat grew up with other dogs bark to communicate with other
telling
dogs.
me all these fucking animal
These
videos
funny
I'm
animal
addicted to watching are
Yeah.
all
Oh,
bollocks.
going home.
Fucking,
No, but the thing
I
was-
watched a tortoise riding a fucking donkey the
But
other
my
day. and I
daddy
was,
sent
that
it to me
fake?
before. And I was like thinking, oh, that's so cute. Or is it? Because you can't fucking tell.
Well, here's the one.
You sent me
Did you
just a
ever-
genuine video of you having a nice day. Yeah, I know you're not
It's
there.
all
You
lies!
fucking You're sitting at home, you fucking little asshole.
Did you ever see the viral clip years ago now where a guy, it was during COVID, where the cat that was like really good in net? Did you ever see it?
In goal.
In goal.
I can't
In
remember.
net. Fucking run on that. In net.
Never in net. In
You just
net.
say in the goal.
In goal.
Don't
Well,
think so.
So, but it was like a YouTuber, but he did like a fake. So he like went
Bollocks.
viral around. So like he got his cat to jump in like weird ways, and then like photoshopped himself like kicking the ball. But anyway, it's not a deep fake, but it's just funny.
I've saw the cat where the owner of the cat is like, he's got a green screen and it's the cat in films, like in a like Jurassic Park and stuff like that, and it's all like things, and he's always like and he kind of like photoshops the cat into these really mad scenes.
I love videos
But it
like
is
that.
mad how naive. I'm not going to name the person because it's embarrassing, but I had a good mate come up to me and was like, oh, have you seen about porn? And said like, oh, all these celebrities have done pornos. And I went like, let's see, you know what I mean, like, let's have a look. And it was some celebrity, and I went, that's not them.
That's obviously Jag.
Yeah, and I went, but like, he was completely gullible to it.
Yeah.
And he went like, nah, they've done what? And I went, they haven't.
No, they haven't.
I went, and then hold on, lads, there's a big menu here. They haven't done that. You know what I mean?
What?
But
I was going to say, another thing which may be hard to quantify as well is that a lot of deepfakes come up through like TikTok and that, don't they?
Yeah,
So, like, for example, I see a lot of, like, Mr. Beast ones comes up because I watch his videos. But, like, I understand it's a deepfake because I watch a lot of that content. Whereas, like, say if, I don't know, say if, what's a content creator I don't watch a lot of, I don't know.
fucking...
I don't watch TikTok.
Insert one here.
I don't watch TikTok. I don't have TikTok.
Yeah, so like...
I think one that's annoying me.
I'm too old for TikTok, I think.
KSI. He's not a content creator.
Yeah,
Speed.
Still. Yeah, like, I show Speed. Like, I don't watch a lot of him. So I wouldn't like so again, those telltale signs
a face
I wouldn't
you're familiar with. You'd go, oh, this is fake. But one thing that the project actually pointed out was a lot of the deepfake detectors were wrong. So my student got pictures of me from like the staff profile, my boss Tom, herself, and she ran basically, you know, the pictures of us through pictures, and I think she did some videos as well. But it actually turns out that a lot of the like publicly available researchers say use this deepfake, and it wasn't detecting it because it was a real picture.
Oh shit.
So a flaw in the algorithms or a flaw in the tools is they're only looking to see if the bulk of it is AI generated. So a lot of deepfakes are made from, you know, that website like thispersondoesn'texist.com.
Yeah.
And basically she was able to, I realized I say basically a lot, sorry, but she could take a picture that was real and then merge it with like basically face swap or something. And according to a lot of these tools, it's like, no, it's legit.
because it's come from an actual face.
Because maybe half of it wasn't AI.
Right, I'm on it.
So that technically the tool that she used to merge it was, you know, merging two different things. Kind of like back when was a Snapchat did face swap, and you clearly know it's a face swap. But it was so funny.
Yeah, it was Snapchat one. You can fully see like a fake body. And you'd have your head on your mate's body going, look at her.
Yeah, basically, some of these like really, really good tools were like, no, it's legit. And she swapped her face with Anne Hathaway, and she, you know, you go, student's name's Tony, and she looked lovely photo Tony before and after. You're kind of like, well, that's clearly not Anne Hathaway. But then she did the same thing where she face swapped like my photo, and then she face swapped my boss Tom's photo, and Tom was like, fuck's sake. But some of the tools were like, no, it's legit. And it's clearly
it is going to be a huge problem like in the next few years, isn't it?
It's weird how like,
but then it's a problem we've not solved. Like the deepfake problem is jumping on a problem that was unsolvable anyway. Well, not unsolvable, but unsolved in that like the social engineering stuff and the scams on top of that. So they're just adding another layer onto a problem that was still yet to be fixed.
There's so many, because I did a paper and it got rejected recently on, I did the deepfake workshop. I surveyed everybody who was there. I presented them with some stuff. I asked questions, and I was like, now we have some answers based on industry people, like on this topic. And people were like, well, it's not really a problem, is it? I'm like, just read the paper. I was saying it wasn't just like, oh, forensics is bad, but it's like, you know, deepfake, and I give examples of like where it's been misused, where it's been bad, you know, timeliness and all of these other things. And again, are there indicators? And I presented to them, and they just kind of wanted to know what tools would I recommend they use.
Yeah.
But there are worries, like anytime you try to use some sort of AI thing in a forensics case, people will go, well, it's the whole black box approach.
Yeah, you don't know why it's made.
How serious?
But that you could have a legit thing that got some really good evidence, and people go, I don't know how that algorithm works. So, and you're like, I fucking just told you how it works.
How serious are people in the area taking it then? Aren't you like, obviously, like this is the start of deepfakes. Like this is literally the initial months,
in the
years,
next 2 years
of the problems. How serious are other research taking? How serious is government taking it? Are we taking it serious? How
Enough.
far could it go?
It's like most things in the UK. They're aware it's a growing problem and they go, we should address this, and then they don't address it.
Well, the government at the minute are too bothered about putting laws in to stop AI killing humanity.
They're also trying to stop like people unionizing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, have you not seen the AI laws that they're trying to pass at the minute? Like, how this pissed me off, but Rishi Sunak doing a live stream with Elon Musk on Twitter about how AI is bad is just mental.
Does Rishi Sunak
like,
know what AI
you
is?
did
No,
that-
but also, like, why is the government meeting on a billionaire's platform
Yeah.
to talk? Anyway,
It was
but
one of your early podcasts where you talked about that, like whoever it was who made the AI machine learning stuff, I can't remember. But then they were like, "Oh, it could be misused, so don't you dare
That was
try to copy
Ivan,
us."
yeah.
yeah, I know it was earlier than that,
Oh, was
because
it? Sorry.
the point it was
like
that
the
it was the
third
guy
one.
with OpenAI when we were talking about that, because it's so evidently self-preserving, because the people who are shouting the loudest now for to restrict
Oh, we're stopping others.
to restrict open AI development, not the company OpenAI, but open source AI development, and to restrict it to government, like to these big companies only, companies that now have products that, because it is notoriously hard to make an AI product that you can sell. It's very easy to do, well, not very easy, but it's much easier to do what we do, where we develop AI systems for research purposes and develop them that way. Getting one to market that's usable and to make money is ridiculous, and OpenAI have done it now with ChatGPT and is it DALL-E?
I'm not
Their
sure.
Yeah,
image
yeah.
one, the image,
Yeah.
so they now have it, and they don't want anyone else to have it.
Yeah, no,
so
they're like, everything else is bad.
It's very sus that the people involved in generating that and creating a very big market are now the ones asking for regulation.
It's like, trust us, we have it. It's really bad.
It's to me, it's very easy to see through why. And do you want me to tell you actually is
I'm
one
just
of the.
against anything that's centralised.
Do you want me to
If
tell
you've
you?
got anyone, if you've got a few people running everything, it's just like, nah.
Well, I don't think regulation's necessarily a bad thing. Like, for example, but the regulation needs to be in the right place. Like, it should be on the application of, like, if you get caught using AI for a nefarious reason, it should probably come, like, say for scamming.
Yeah.
You should probably get a heavier
That's
sentence.
that's the mad argument though, isn't it? Like regulation should be on application, but that's proven not to work with nukes. Like, don't use nukes, but then countries with nefarious ideas, you could easily put us in that pot.
Yeah, but
people
we
end
have
up
them,
making
but no
them.
one use nukes.
No, but as
No,
long
but
as you have a
people-
legitimate use for something. If you go back to,
People will do it anyway. Is my point.
you know, Napster,
Yes.
back file share and stuff like that. Peer-to-peer networks are not illegal. Sharing files online is not illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends on what it
And
is.
what file it is.
And was it? I want to say Sean something. I can't remember his surname. Anyway, the guy with Napster, their argument was that you should be able to share files. And they went, for example, I am an avid bird watcher. I find a video of a bird. It's very unique. I upload audio signs of a bird. I want other bird watchers to be able to hear the thing and go, oh,
Yeah.
that's a whatever type of bird.
Yeah.
There's a legal use for something, therefore they don't regulate it, and they go, right, everyone's going to use it. And then obviously they know what people are using it, and then they get brought to court and they go, are you telling me people are sharing media files on that?
Yeah.
Well, god damn it, those bird watchers out
I
there.
was sending a magpie to my friend.
But it's like with open source development. Like, do you want to tell you actually is quite a same voice on this, or seems to be at the minute? Is Jan Lee Kun Janssen?
Don't think
So he's like considered like he's either the father or grandfather of AI. Anyway, he's like a big name. He works for Meta of all places.
Oh,
But a
right.
lot of Meta's research now they publish open source in the AI space, and he's a big advocate for like a lot of these problems that people are saying like AI is going to be so catastrophic. If you have it open source, it's going to solve itself out anyway,
Yeah.
because
Everyone can see.
everyone
what
can
everyone's
see
doing.
what's going on. So by implementing these restrictions to make it closed source, you're avidly increasing the risk of the very thing you're trying to protect.
Who's
Because
advocating for it to be closed source?
everyone. Elon Musk, he doesn't want it.
Not closed source.
Yeah, but they want their own companies to do it. They want regulation. If you've got regulation on something, like, you won't be able to make it.
I think they're just trying to waiting to see what way it falls. Like,
I-
is
I'm
it
not sure
as
they were advocating
successful?
for like regulating only a few to do it. They were trying to get regulations on what you can.
But same thing.
Well, it's like
the same
computer
thing.
laws. They're really vague and really old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have been for years, and it's because there's so many different use cases. You don't want to be too specific, so then you go case by case, which then makes it harder
Because
to
that can be
convict.
problematic if you go
Yeah,
too
and
specific.
you go too
can't it?
specific.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it's very well documented that companies such as or like big companies with a lot of money will just pay the fines and do what they want anyway. So having regulation on something such as open source AI means open source AI will die, because then random people with a computer won't be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm anti-regulation anyway.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I think regulation is essential.
Well,
Yeah,
you need to-
what I mean by
it's-
anti-regulation is I hate when everything's super controlled. I'm just like,
but that's the point. You've got to have regulation to say, look, you can't do this.
yeah,
Like, for example, in the UK, you can't have a gun, but you can have a shotgun license, whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's regulation, and look, there's no mass shootings. It's mad, that, isn't it? But, like, with AI, I think it's very obvious why they're going down the routes they're going down. And it's to make it that it can be profitable. Because eventually, in like 5 years, open source AI models will perform just as well as what the big companies are charged.
Yeah.
And then there's the business model gone.
yeah.
I can't think of the name
There's
of
no
some,
sector.
but there's been some ones, I can't think of them, but it's like every time they put some AI on, and then Redditors be like, let's ask them lots of questions, and then you'd ask a really weird question, and then it's been like racist back to you.
Yeah.
Or you ask it a question, and it's like saying like Nazi support stuff, and you're like, what the fuck? And it's like, I think Sky did one, or every time they try to have some autonomous AI thing come out, and everyone's like,
oh, Reddit break it in like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Microsoft did one years ago. Was it like Skybot or Chatbot? I can't remember what it was called.
I think it was a Microsoft one.
Yeah. And within, I think it was hours, like people on Reddit or people on the internet had got it to just literally become a fascist Nazi.
Even the other day, I seen one.
Class, innit?
I seen one the other day on the conflict in Gaza. Now it said write a poem about the Israelis' sovereignty. And it was like, oh, you know, they love the land and like they claim it. Write one about Palestinian sovereignty.
Like, dead
and it was
negative.
like, no, it just said it's complex.
Right.
And then continued the poem, but it said, but we don't. Like the Israeli one was a lot more like they definitely deserve the land, and the Palestinian was a bit more like it's complex. Maybe they'll have the land, maybe they won't. And that was like
literal
ChatGPT.
actual bias. I think I've saw ones where people have asked, like, again, troubles in Ireland or something else from different perspectives.
Yeah.
And then you think, is it given certain answers because people of a certain people have asked questions and it's went, this is the type of answer people want to see, or is the person in the background who's like programmed it has went, here's my opinion on some stuff, and then the AIs went from that? Because when I was in my thesis way back when, a lot of people said that unsupervised is the way to go for anything, not even just machine learning. But I was like, that only works if before you've done that, you've given it clear directions on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then periodically going and looking and going, right, are these still the parameters that we need? And then you adjust it. But literally completely unsupervised things ends up in some racist Nazi bot, and you go, oh shit.
Yeah, because then it just looks at what's being said.
The
most.
demographic,
like,
and it goes,
purely unsupervised is the ideal, but we live in a world where purely unsupervised can never exist.
You kind of have like a little asterisk, and you go, 99% of the time it's unsupervised.
Yeah, because basically what you have to do is have filters in it, and then cluster from there, and have unsupervised learning from your pre-filtered input, because otherwise everyone just spams it and says all the Nazi related things, and then it's like, well, this is the majority of what I learned, so I'll say it back.
The danger for me with the big chap, the Nazi one's clear, like, you know, if it's saying mad stuff like that, it's obviously fucked, innit? But like, it's too and this is machine learning, we know it's in the pipe, like the Google problem, it's a reflection on the data that it's been fed. But people in society, they censor themselves. You know, they don't want to say it, and I don't want to cause any problems. And you worry that a chatbot or a model would, because everyone has swayed one way, for example, like a contentious conflict, everyone sides at one side, maybe the truth's on the other side, but because the model and everyone else who's fed it the data is swayed that way, you'll never say the opposite now. And if you do, whereas a clear, unbiased model would be like, here's the info, you know what I mean?
Here's the news reports. Make your own opinions.
It can have the fact might be one side, right? As long as that is the fact, but if it's not clear, it cannot be biased.
Or they cite the sources and they say this is the opinion based on blah 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 blah, but it's uncertain. Like a fucking, what do you call those magic 8 balls, and it goes, don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the danger.
Well, I suppose that's the point, but then that gets into the whole point again of kind of what we talked about at the start, where if you use these chatbots blindly without some form of understanding and just take what they say as gospel, like, these chatbots are still stupid. Like, they are. Like, they are essentially just like Google has more information than chatbot.
Yeah.
You just need to because it gets stuff wrong all
It's
the
got
time.
to page 1,000 to find it.
So yes, it's more convenient, but without the subject knowledge, as you say, then if you just started taking your stuff off what these chatbots are saying, then I think what you do.
I think with the chatbots and stuff, we're going to have lazy learners.
Yes,
and you get
big
that,
time.
especially coming off the back of COVID. I'm not saying any student groups in particular, but the younger ones. I feel old for saying the younger ones, but they just want the answer. They're like, "What is the answer?
Yeah.
What you say? Research this thing. What do I have to write though?" I'm like, reread it. You look at the thing.
What do you mean? What do I have to write? That's
they
what
want
they
the
say.
answer. Like, what's the answer? Like, I have one of my coursework questions is like, how does the Internet of Things affect the rise or affect cyber crimes? Yeah, and they're like, but like we did a lecture on it. Okay, what's the answer? I'm like, there's many points that you could mention, and you could cite stuff. You could do this. I'm like, but then you've got.
Come on, Anya, shut up. Just tell us the answer.
What is it?
Trying to get me fucking degree.
And then you mark it, and they go, you didn't have a lecture on that. You didn't have a lecture that specifically said that, and you go, yeah, I mean, but I give you the theme. I give you like I've had a few questions in the last week about again certain things on the coursework, and I go, I put a fucking link to this on Canvas or referencing questions, and I'll go, I literally made a page. Here's IEEE referencing. Here's Harvard referencing. Here's examples. I made a table. I did a comparison. I did this, and every person who's done this, I went, I made this. I put it on Canvas. Oh, I didn't look at it. Like,
you know what's funny to me? Sorry, dead quick. This is completely off topic. Some students are charming, man. And they get shit off lecturers that other students can't
Just
get.
because they're a bit.
No,
Just because they're a bit charismatic and they can go back and work with you on you, but like you'd notice certain students are like, blah blah, come over here. Yes, you know that. So is that what it is? Yeah. It's like, nice.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get some students who do say, I don't get it. Well, you have to look at the lecture notes.
Yeah.
no, I agree.
Look at this man. Did he get nowhere?
So there's like,
so true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always that charming student who's like,
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, I don't know exactly what you're on
Nice
about.
one, thank you.
they're like, oh, read
Thank
your
you.
paper, really good. Anyway, questions. And you're like, fuck.
That's so spot on.
It's mad, and you're like, yeah, there's the answers.
You know what the thing is though, is that I think students don't realise we know that, because I know people do that, and I completely agree. But one of the tutors and one of my friends, he has like a Q&A on his module. So like anytime someone asks a question, he's got a running Q&A thing. And generally, if people ask me the same question, I just copy and paste the same answer, because I know definitely during COVID when we were doing online learning, because you know 2 weeks to flatten the curve. A year and a half academically later.
8 years later.
But it was like we'd have do the lecture, pre-record the lecture, and then we'd have like tutorial sessions online, and it was lots of questions about the coursework, and then we just chat shit about life. How are you doing? Did you go for your daily walk? Blah blah blah. But then some of them started recording my lectures. I'd talk about the coursework, and then because I don't care about I just didn't think anyone would want to record any of our Zoom sessions, but they did. They'd record it. They'd write down all the stuff I said about the coursework. Then they'd use Discord servers. Then they'd ask a question. And then someone else would ask a question sort of similar but slightly different about 20 minutes later. And then say about 2 hours later someone else. And I'm thinking, they're piecing it all together. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm not a fucking idiot. So I'd be like, oh, well, if you look at the notes or you look at this, blah, blah, blah. And then again, if people ask similar things, I generally just have I'll go, what did I email that person when I said? I'll just paste the stock in.
Yeah.
But it's been years of it, because they'd go, oh, I hope you're well. Hope you're doing well. How's the family? You good? Question about the coursework. And the theme at the moment is it's a question about the coursework. And I went, have you used the headings? What headings? My coursework spec says use these as headings, and it has bullet points. And even the good students have said, it clearly says use these as headings. Oh my God, I didn't see that. Are these the headings we're supposed to use? That's what it says in the coursework spec. Oh my God.
It's mad. It's the lack of critical thinking. That skill is
exactly,
and the critical analytics. For example, I've got an exact similar one to you. So a couple of years ago, or I don't think it was last year. Anyway, because I help in the masters seminar for one of the seminars, and for the coursework, it was basically your evaluation, because it was a very unbalanced data set. You had to use F1 score as your performance metric, because it was more representative, give it a fairer thing, and everyone was getting low. So they were getting really good results on the test on the set they had, and then they upload it to Kaggle and they give a result there, and they were getting awful results. I'm talking they were getting 0.9 locally but 0.4 online, and they were like, what we doing wrong here, and I had a look and they were using accuracy. So the model was massively becoming overfit and biased.
Yeah.
Because it was a massively unbalanced data set. So I was like, but why are you using accuracy? Because that's what we do. And I was like, no, why are you using accuracy?
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, if you read the coursework again, and I'd sit there and I'd watch them read it, and they go, yeah, and I went, what performance metric are you supposed to use? Accuracy. And in the end, I was just like, I can't even help you.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you something that's on the paper and you should have read it. That's so bad. I was like, come on.
It's like with my coursework as well. And again, students are good, but the question's like, does it have to be on a real cyber attack? Yes. The fucking coursework it says use an example of a recent attack. I mean, do I have to make up one? No.
Do you know what I mean? Like charisma though, it's because some students would say, Mr. Belfield, like, is it accuracy? And you go like, look on the coursework, and then there's some reason another one I go, is it accuracy? And you go like, no, it's not accuracy, here's what it is. And you just like, some students are just kind of, and they get away with it, and another one's just like, look in the coursework, and you're like,
or you just go like, oh my god. No, what I do personally is like, I'll look at all the questions I'll get, and I'll start a lecture and I'll go, had a few questions about the coursework, by the way. Maybe I've had some emails, or I've just thought these are questions people are going to ask, and I'll just go over it again. And other people just go, we've handed it out, they should just get on with it. And I'm thinking, if I don't clarify this, they're going to get it wrong. And I'll be like, as per my explanation 3 weeks ago, you need to do it this way, you need to have this. And you've got people writing it, no way, oh my god. And I'm thinking, I've already talked about this a million times.
It's insane, isn't it?
Had someone emailed me this week and they said, just had a question. It's been brought to my attention that there may be an exam. I did a mock last week. I put past papers up last week. Yes, I was on strike week 1, but on the module thing it says exam and coursework, and I went, there's an exam in January, and they went, I just can't seem to find this information anywhere. Thanks for clarifying. And I was
It'll
like,
be in the module performer, won't
yes.
it? Like,
I was like, why was I doing a mock if there's not an exam?
Was I like,
not being funny, lads, who reads that?
Me? At
But
the
week
start
one
of
it
every
says-
module?
I never read once in my degree the module performance.
Every week I go, this will be really useful for the exam, or maybe don't look at this,
Like,
or you know,
I just relied on word of mouth, man.
Like,
I just relied on peers, man.
well,
to
it's
tell me
week 7 and
stuff
someone
was
went, just want it. Someone's mentioned an exam. Is there an exam? And I'm like, yeah, in January. They're like, oh, since when? I'm like, right.
I think lecturers need to know that, by the way. 95% of the class doesn't read the module performer.
No,
but in week
5% do, and they tell the rest what's going on.
Like, honestly, I used to read. This can't just be me. I used to read the module performers, and then I'd know, right, okay, this coursework's going to be.
Was it like a 60% or 40%?
Yeah. I'd be like, right, I know this, and then, this is the name of this coursework. So based on like the outline of topics we're doing, it's probably going to be this. This is what I'd do before, like.
This is why you got 85% on your degree, and I got 80. That 5% in the module performer, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's what the module performer did, though. 5% on you. I didn't do
That's
it.
what I did. I tried me out.
I just relied on word of mouth, man. Like, what have we got coming in? Go ahead, Sam.
You operate on vibes, lad.
I'm
getting a vibe that I have a coursework to do. Is that right? Can someone tell me something?
You're like, Brandfield, I'm getting a vibe that you're stressed. Are we supposed to be doing something? When did you?
Yeah.
Oh God, tomorrow. Seriously.
I'll tell you what. Once, last story before we finish. A good mate of mine, when we were in 3rd year of undergrad. So we were in the library, and I think the deadline was like something like 5 o'clock.
Oh.
So we'd done loads of the coursework, and we'd like got up to leave at like 4:55, and he just comes strolling in like 4:56 is the way out, and he goes, "The fuck are you going?" We're like, "Oh, we've just submitted. We're going to the pub," and he went, "What do you mean?" He thought it was the next day.
Oh my god!
He was like, "I've got 4 minutes to do my course." And even started.
That's what making me laugh. Start a masters on you. Like, I didn't know Ryan that well, but he was a year above me, same age, but like, well, he's a bit older, but like same school year. But he went. Why have we been in different years? I did a foundation year, and he went right into his degree. So we met at masters again. In the first few weeks, someone said, "Oh yeah, Ryan got 85% in his degree. You know what I mean? He's clever and that, blah blah blah." Yeah, nerd. And like the first few weeks, there was these group courseworks, and they were like, "Right, pick pairs or threes," and we had like a clique of like 5 people, so I knew it was going to be a 2 and a 3. So I straight away just went like, "I'm with Belly," and then they went
I was like, "All right,
and Brad went, You can't just decide the group. I've just decided the group. I'm with Belly. I'm with you, aren't I, Belly? And he just went like, it's me and Sam. And then he just went, and then they got well less, and I was like, decent, I'm with Belly.
We had a good time as well. In between running models, we just played Call of Duty.
You're still going to help people, like, it's in uni when we did that, it would be, again, the joke, oh, have you got your plan of action, have you got this? I'm like, you need to do it on your own, but I have.
Like, you'd help where you could, couldn't you? Like, you'd give the general advice, and then you'd be like, right, well, I can't help you anymore.
Help you click outside your click.
Like, you'd be like, if I give you any more than what I've just told you, I'm basically just doing it for you. So
no, I would. If someone who wasn't that matey who had asked, I'd help them. But if it was one of my close mates, I'd go like, well, that's it is. You know what I mean? But
we had someone, and when they come into the lab, they'd go, for fuck's sake, there's blank. They haven't done the work, and I'm like, what? I just didn't clock on. Anyway, I then ended up talking to this person about a coursework. I'm not saying what because they'll know. And they were like, I've left. I didn't know. I've got all this other stuff. Do you just do it this way? But I was like, no, you don't just do it that way. And I explained to this person in the lab, where a lot of my friends ditched me, like, look, you need to do this. Draw it this way. Do X, Y, and Z. And they did better than most of them. And they were like, that's not fair. You give them a fucking 5-minute summary of like everything we've spent the last few weeks doing. I was like, well, just avoid coursework handing 2 days before anyone goes, oh, how are you doing? No, they're not here to make friends. They want you to give them the answers.
Want some help, yeah.
Sorry, dead quick. Sorry, I had to make Bran on uni, and there was this coursework where I was clueless on it. I just hadn't done much work for the few weeks, and I'd like zoned out, and now there was a coursework, and I was like 3 fucking weeks, and I went to library with him. We were good mates. We were always going to sit together and work on it together, and he basically schooled me on how to do it. For like the whole library session.
That's how it balances out though as well.
So he schooled me how to do it, and I was thinking like, fucking, he's clued up here on this, and I submitted, and I got like 81%, and he got 59. And it was all this like info, and I went like, lads, I told you what to do. And I was just like, I just wrote it up, boss. So I got a good mark.
That happened to me in forensics. Like, I'd figure out, we'd get a scenario, and you'd have to analyse stuff, and I'd be like, I found all the files. This is what we need to do. You need to write this. You need to write this. And I'd get 63 or 64. And my mates would get in the 70s.
Like, you'd be fuming.
They did placements though.
It's not what you know it to, you know.
It's like most went on a placement. And at the time you could do unpaid placements. And they went off and whatever. And then I just went into third year. Yeah. I did a summer internship. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just go into third year. Like, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm getting in the 80s. And my head of program pulls me in and he goes, right, other than your mates not being here, what the fuck has changed? And I went, I'm not giving everybody the answer. I went, honestly, I was like, it's not that I ever do anything wrong, but I feel like sometimes when I submit something and say everyone else has the same perspective, because I fucking told a few people, like, this is what I think you should do.
And the values you
yeah. So all of a sudden, and they were joking, because like, I was doing my PhD when they were in third year, and they're like, oh, I need your help in the coursework. And I'm like, nope, they change the assignments every year. Also, I'm not helping you. You're on your own now. But like that, all of a sudden, me just like, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own.
Eventually, you do have to look out for yourself, is the main thing, innit?
It took me too long to realise that. Like, not in a bad... Like, my friends were good, and they'd help me with stuff as well. But it would often be, I knew I wanted to get a first. And my friends were... Some people were just happy to pass. And
no,
like,
I'm totally on it,
the lowest grade I got the whole time at uni was a 58 in one thing, and it really pissed me off.
I think I was very similar.
And when I say this, my mates in the pub would be like, you're a fucking dick. I was like, that's really good for me. And I was like... But it brought my average down. It's like, it really upset me. I was like I got a first, but it's like, it's in the 70s. And I was like, I wish I did better. And my boss is like, my old tutor, he's like...
I'm very much like you in that, like, I think I did that once. It beat me up. I was like, wow, I just...
I was like, I wish I had it. Like, I did my PG cert and I got like 63 or 64 and it's okay. But I was like, I wish I'd give more effort. And I was like, who cares? And I'm like, I know, but it's like, I should have did more. Like, I didn't want to because anyway.
Right.
Self-improvement.
Well, I was going to say, we'll have to wrap up. It's gone 4.
It's been a very, very pleasant conversation as well. Thank you for giving us your time again.
Not a problem.
It's been very, very informative, and I'm made that we actually got to speak more about your research as well. So I think that we didn't do it just this last episode.
No. Last question.
Go on.
Take a quick 1-word answer. One song you listen to at the moment.
Is it Covent Basement or Basement Covent?
Covent Basement, Basement Covent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard it on someone's reel that stuck in my head.
Belly, 1-word answer. Song you listen to at the moment.
To-do list after the breakup blossoms.
To-do list after breakup. Belly, ask me.
Sam, what song you listen to at the minute?
I didn't actually think of one. Fuck.
Mention your band.
No, that's a self plug.
I'm listening to Honey Motel Matinee. Out now, with video available on YouTube.
Guest appearance.
I'm listening to Mac Dermott, My Kind of Woman.
Of course, you know. Everyone, if you liked it, make sure you like it. If you didn't like it, also tell us, because, well, we like some feedback, but thank you for watching anyway. We don't like it. Until we see you in the next one, peace and love, and we'll see you then.
Peace out.
Ta-ra.